burn it at both ends. I like the fire causing mayhem. I'm not tired, I've been waiting. I'm not forsaken, on my own and I'm jaded. Energy comes from my hatred. Call me the villain, cause I be killing. I got no feeling, I've been dealing with all my demons. I like to feed them, they be chilling. Yeah, they be screaming, I can hear them in my mind. They just wanna find any fight, any reason.
Dark side, there ain't no place to hide. All your fears are electrified. Welcome to the hard side, where it's all do or die. We're the shadow to the light. I can feel it in my bones. I'm addicted to the thirst. I ain't never letting go, even when it hurts. This is my curse.
Have to be working to deserve it. Adrenaline is surging, ain't no serving. I'm the king, bring me everything that I've ever wanted, that I need. I believe I could be anything, watch me. Give me a second to blow, give me a second to grow. Be at the top of the show, be at the top like a pro. I flip the switch, different mode. No, they ain't laughing, no joke, cause I attack when they won't.
Welcome to the dark side, there ain't no place to hide. All your fears are electrified. Welcome to the hard side, where it's all do or die. We're the shadow to the light. I can feel it in my bones. I'm addicted to the thirst. I ain't never letting go, even when it hurts. This is my curse.
I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy, only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
So bitch, I better love
if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. It's on the cameras here. Very early in the morning. I am very tired. I got my coffee. I didn't want to go back to sleep. I wanted to be productive this morning. So I'm turning on my candles and getting myself ready for this beautiful Sunday. This is the only show I'm gonna do today, so that's why I'm doing it early. So for people to come back and watch, and for those who came back and watch, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. But yeah, let me say good morning to Chloe. Hey, Chloe. Good morning, early bird. How you doing? I got some news for us to watch, so let me set it up and let's watch some news. I mean, it's the morning after No Kings. What do you think? Yeah, President Trump is still president, and what happened yesterday? What changed happened yesterday? Nothing. Everything's still the same. So, with that said, let's go ahead and catch some news.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Welcome. We're going to do something special tonight. One guest after my monologue. I used to do this, so we're going to do it more often. And a special guest, Victor Davis Hanson. He's worth talking to for a long time. But before I get there, and before I get to my monologue, you're going to be noticing this.
Let me change this around.
So I might as well deal with it in a very, very short way.
Let me change this around. Give me 1 second.
Both eyes. It requires a needle from time to time. I got my needle. I got my red eye. It's
that sucks.
Simple. I'm not on drugs. Nobody punched me in the eye. I'm not drunk. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And I don't get into fistfights. Now, I am sick and tired of the constant drumbeat that somehow Donald Trump is authoritarian. And you bring these guys on, this conga line of Democrats and some Republicans, and they go on there and they talk about it's not going to be authoritarian, it is authoritarian. Or we've lost our democracy. What are we going to do? He's militarizing our cities. I'm so sick of this. These are people who are ignoramuses. They don't know American history. And the funny thing is, the shoe is really on the other foot. The Democrat Party is about sabotage, subterfuge, usurpation. That's what they're about. This is a Democrat Party, as a matter of fact, that wanted to pack the Supreme Court. They've packed the lower courts. Oh, that's very Democratic. This is a Democrat Party that wants to eliminate the Electoral College. So all but the most populous states with the biggest cities, they're the only ones that have a say in our government. The incredible lawfare against the President of the United States when he was a private citizen, president, candidate, president again. We've been into that. The 1619 Project, which is a complete repudiation of our founding. All Democrat. DEI, CRT, a complete repudiation of our country. Groups like CARE. This group, CARE, is tied to Hamas, and there are other groups like that. They find a home in the Democrat Party. They work with the Democrat Party. They're supported by the Democrat Party. Economic socialism, that's the new banner of the Democrat Party and their friends in the Democratic Socialist Movement, aka Marxist Islamist movement. What else? They keep changing our election laws to ensure that they win. What do you think of that? They want to add Puerto Rico as a state and the District of Columbia as a state so they can pack the Senate with 4 more Democrats. Very democratic, you know. Lawless sanctuary cities, which go back to really a notion in the Confederacy, that is, nullification of our federal immigration laws. So the open borders are open in violation of federal law. Now they don't want to deport people in violation of federal law. Why? Because they want to use illegal aliens to create more Democrat congressional seats. Very democratic. They have monopoly control over our universities and faculty. They have monopoly control over our teachers' unions, K through 9. They have a massive bureaucracy that really belongs to them. Let's be honest about that. They don't much like the Constitution's separation of power. They're always pushing for the centralization of power. They don't like the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, the Second, the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Eighth, Ninth, 10th. They're not very happy with the 14th Amendment either. Folks, they're the authoritarians. They're not fighting for democracy. They wouldn't know democracy if they hit them in the face. That's why I don't call them the Democratic Party. It's the Democrat Party. And then you have sites like the Drudge Report, where Matt Drudge apparently banged his head and has never recovered. It's endless with this hideous propaganda. And you have sites like Mediaite, run by Dan Abrams. Endless propaganda, trying to create the impression that Donald Trump is a one-off, that this guy's a dictator, he's an authoritarian, he's doing things that are so out of the norm. Let's have a little chat, shall we? I'd like to go down history lane here because if I don't, who will? Let's take a look at this, shall we? Let's look at abuses of power, authoritarianism, and some of our greatest presidents. John Adams, we've discussed this, the Sedition Act. He imprisoned several citizens, including 24 of whom were journalists, under his Sedition Act. We have Abraham Lincoln, considered the best president, or the second best.
Time to get our history
by
lesson.
many people. Well, he shut down 200 pro-peace newspapers, or papers he thought were sympathetic to the Confederacy during the Civil War. That seems to be a big issue. He suspended habeas corpus. Only Congress can do that. Well, that seems to be a big issue. He also confiscated printing materials. He sometimes imprisoned reporters, editors, and publishers. He gave his Secretary of War Stanton enormous powers. Stanton sought the power, and he gave him to do what? To monitor the telegraph, to interfere with telegraph messages, the whole system, in order to influence the outcome. I could go on, but I don't have enough time. I've got to get to the next president. Let's go to Woodrow Wilson, a favorite of the Democrats. He was a racist and a bigot. He believed in eugenics. But that aside for the moment, he also passed a new
Democrats don't know history.
in
They don't know their
1917 and Sedition Act in 1918. So opponents of Wilson were charged and imprisoned on a scale never seen in American history. He charged 2,000 people, imprisoned about 1,200, including the candidate on the Socialist Party for president of the United States, who ran for president from prison. Wow, what else did he do? He created an elaborate domestic spy network to see which citizens he should charge. When you would go see a movie, at the beginning of the movie, there'd be a little clip brought to you by Woodrow Wilson. More propaganda by the government. I mean, it was incredible what he did. He did other things too. He created the Committee for Public Information. What did they do? 175,000 people were trained to influence the outcome of newspaper reports and to push agendas and propaganda, government information into the media. That's a lot. What about Franklin Roosevelt? Franklin Roosevelt had a war against the press. He established the FCC in 1934. Remember our FCC chairman? Oh my God, we've never seen anything like this before. Oh, we've seen that. We've seen a lot worse. What did he do? Well, it used to be that if you got a radio license, and radio was a big deal then, as it is, I think, a big deal today, but it was really big because there wasn't television and so forth, podcasters. In any event, they had radio licenses. They were for 3 years. What did Roosevelt do? He reduced them to 6 months. He put one of his political hacks in charge, and they made sure that NBC, CBS, other radio companies and networks, that they would abide by the policies of the government, or they didn't get their licenses. And NBC and CBS said as much. We're not going to report as much, disagreeing with the administration policies now. FDR appointed a political confidant, to run the IRS. He would order this director to conduct audits of political opponents and newspaper publishers. Gannett, Annenberg, many, many others who were considered Republican. He went after Andrew Mellon, the Treasury Secretary, under President Coolidge. He went after Huey Long, who he feared would defeat him in a primary. He also ordered the IRS to lay off a loyal young congressman they were investigating. You may have heard of this guy from Texas. His name was Lyndon Johnson. At FDR's direction, Senate Democrats subpoenaed tens of thousands of telegrams from Western Union because they didn't like what Western Union was doing. They thought it was run by a Republican, but they also wanted to see all the communications of citizens, tens of thousands. Oh, it gets worse, but I got to move on. John Kennedy, he also appointed a loyalist to be the IRS commissioner, and he would routinely read tax filings of political opponents, people he had questions about, people who were wealthy, some cases for the fun of it. Some cases he would leak to somebody named Ben Bradley, who at the time was the big gun over at Newsweek, who would eventually go to the Washington Post. But John Paul Getty is a perfect example. And John Kennedy would go after conservative groups. Lyndon Johnson, boy, he was the biggest of the big. He used the IRS, the FBI. He used the CIA. He actually outdid John Kennedy. And he went after his political opponents, businesses, publishers. He spied on the Goldwater campaign. He had bugs by the FBI placed in the Goldwater headquarters. Goldwater figured it out because he was putting out releases, that is the Johnson campaign, before they even made public statements. And of course, they went after a senior official working for the Goldwater campaign who was gay in order to destroy that man's reputation. They leaked information left and right. What else did Johnson do? Well, he directed the FBI to surveil the 1964 Democrat convention in Atlantic City. You see, he didn't trust the Kennedys. He also didn't trust Martin Luther King and other black civil rights leaders. He had their phones bugged, their hotel rooms bugged.
Wow.
Democracy, right, Democrats? Oh,
Democracy.
Barack Obama.
Fucking Democrats.
I affectionately call him Barack Milhouse.
That's why you have rats in their
for
name.
Another day. The Department of
Rat.
Justice secretly subpoenaed and seized from phone companies records for 20 Associated Press phone lines used by 100 reporters, telephone calls, emails between New York Times reporters and government officials, communications between Fox News' James Rosen at the time and the State Department, and communications between reporters in the CIA. We hadn't seen that since Lyndon Johnson, anything like it before. Obama said, I was never involved in scandals. You were dripping in scandal. They tracked James Rosen's whereabouts, his movements. James Risen of the New York Times. They subpoenaed him. They sought his phone and company records. They tried to compel his testimony under the Espionage Act. They threatened to imprison him. Obama used the Espionage Act again on him and others. Obama also spearheaded the assault on Donald Trump, the 2016 campaign, his first presidency, and of course, somehow Donald Trump's taxes were released by the IRS. How? Democracy. You know, these Democrats are for democracy. They don't have anything to do with authoritarianism, you know. Then we have Joe Biden. FBI, IRS, CIA, NDI, all the government was directed, colluded, conspired to take out Donald Trump and his people. When he was a citizen, when he was a candidate, during the transition, the first presidency, and after. They were crushing Donald Trump's civil liberties, crushing them. They had a war on social media. Federal judges have written about it. They were appalling. They haven't seen anything like this since the other Democrat, Woodrow Wilson. Whether it came to vaccines and the pandemic, whether it came to the laptop, Hunter's laptop, the Biden regime had its hands in all of it, trying to censor, trying to plant, even wanted to set up a special committee like Woodrow Wilson. A disinformation committee while they're spewing misinformation and disinformation. Oh, yeah. But here's the latest, of course, the Insurrection Act. We have these lightweight Democrat governors and mayors who hate the cops, who hate federal law enforcement, who hate law and order, and they are special pleaders for illegal aliens And the more violent and felonious the conduct of the illegal aliens, the more they defend them. And of course, they have their federal judges, more democracy, who were stuffed into our judicial system by Biden and by Schumer, who keep, letting these people go and interfering with the power of the president to do something about it. The Insurrection Act, can you imagine? It sounds so ominous. Who would ever use the Insurrection Act? Only Donald Trump. Because you see, he's militaristic. He uses the military. These cities are being militarized. He doesn't need to do any of this. Well, who else used the Insurrection Act? The Insurrection Act was passed in 1807. It's been used 28 times since by presidents of the United States, starting with Thomas Jefferson in 1808. But even before Thomas Jefferson, even before there was an Insurrection Act, George Washington, you may have heard of him, he used the military in 1794. You may have heard of John Adams. He was our second president. He used the military in 1799. Now, these were men who were actually involved in what? The Constitutional Convention. Wow. They didn't view it as authoritarian. Quite the contrary. They believed they were defending America and the Constitution, as Donald Trump would be today, should he choose to use the Insurrection Act to put down an insurrection of the Democrat Party. Always the Democrat Party. Yep. Slavery, segregation, eugenics, Jim Crow, blocking little black kids from going into school with white kids, blocking buses. That's the Democrats. This is who they are. And the Insurrection Act has had to be used against them. The Ku Klux Klan. That's right. Let's go through who used the Insurrection Act. We have Thomas Jefferson used the Insurrection Act. Andrew Jackson used it, and some of them used it multiple times. Like Ulysses S. Grant used it multiple times, including to put down the Ku Klux Klan. He was putting down the Ku Klux Klan. He sent the United States Army into the South. He was doing a great job of blowing out the Ku Klux Klan, the last vestiges of the Democrat Party's resistance to humanity and ending slavery. And then the Democrats won the House of Representatives. And you know what they did? They cut off funding for the Army to be used to take out the Ku Klux Klan. And so the remnants of the Ku Klux Klan are even around today. Democrats. But they favor democracy. What else do we have? I mentioned Grant. Rutherford B. Hayes. He used it more than once. Chester Alan Arthur. He used it. Grover Cleveland used it more than once. Hold on, I'm not done. It's a long list. Who else used it? Woodrow Wilson, another great Democrat, racist segregationist. Warren Harding used it. Who else? Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, John Kennedy on multiple occasions, Lyndon Johnson on multiple occasions, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush on multiple occasions, 28 times. Wow, were they all authoritarians? You see, this junk that we are fed by the media, which regurgitates what they're told to do by the Democrats. When you watch Meet the Press or Face the Nation or these shows, or if you dare to watch their network programming or some of these other cable channels, you're going to hear this stuff about Trump the authoritarian over and over and over again. And the Democrats, the little d Democrats, they're trying to defend the country from an authoritarian. The Democrats are authoritarian. They've always been authoritarian. They reject the Constitution and separation of powers. They're the ones who reject the outcome of elections, like they're rejecting the outcome of the last election with their judges, who are interfering in every single aspect of the presidency. That's right. They're the ones who seek to change the citizenry of the country because they don't much like the way that we vote. And that way they can pick up more congressional seats. They hope they'll have birthright citizenship. And the Democrat Party can only win. And if they can't, let's get rid of the Electoral College. So only the 11 or 12 most populous states, almost all of which are Democrat, not all, but most of which, they'll control the country. And we'll call it democracy. I have an idea. Let's load up the Supreme Court. Let's add more seats. That way we can get our ideologues on the Supreme Court, create really a Democrat Politburo, and then clothe it in democracy. Bernie Sanders, a Marxist. He's a little d Democrat socialist. Mondami, a little d Democrat socialist. All for the centralization of power and disenfranchising the voter. Oh, you'll go through the voting process, but all the decisions will be made without you. Tomorrow night, I want to dig in further on this immigration issue. I want to dig in further on ICE. I want to dig in further what these Democrat city mayors and Democrat governors are doing, because, ladies and gentlemen, what they are doing is not only akin to the old Confederacy in the South, which I've discussed here multiple times. What they are doing is destroying the country.
Yep.
And ripping it apart.
Yep.
Some of them want to be president of the United States. Some of them are more qualified to be president of the old Confederacy because they're using their tactics and principles to a different end, but the same means.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
That was a good one. That was really, really, really good. It's the truth, learn your history. Democratic Party has never been for the people. It's always been for themselves. And the fact that they're a bunch of hypocrites, it's doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. These Democrats will do anything to get back in power, even if they have to slander everyone and use everyone to get their way to the top. They will. Very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Talk about disturbance. We got a disturbance out in the tropics. Let me set this up here. It looks like there's a something brewing in the tropics. So without further ado, let's go ahead and set this up. Let's watch.
Very closely. That developing threat that we were talking about just yesterday, we now have an Invest 98L that came about yesterday when we were talking on the show, actually, around 11 a.m. And, the Atlantic, it's been a little bit of a different season for us. It's been a little bit of a weird one, but the Atlantic is still alive, and it's making sure we know it, because Invest 98L is starting to move towards the Caribbean, which is an incredibly warm spot, which means it has lots of fuel to possibly get something going. So the National Hurricane Center has updated the possibility of something developing to 50% within the next 7 days. So now we have updated from that lemon to now we have this orange coming in to the Caribbean, that potential development area. Now we still have quite a few days. This is the next 7 days or so. You'll notice in the next 2 days, only a 10% chance for any real development. But you can see here on a enhanced satellite, things are looking pretty healthy at this point. Not a defined circulation yet, but those thunderstorms are still cooking and do have a little bit of energy to work with. Now, I do want to mention this, because even though the hostile winds, those are on the lower end, that low wind shear is going to be playing in this system's favor to kind of keep itself together. That high moisture content that we ended up seeing yesterday, it's kind of gone. You can see this drier air that's just to the north of it, the system, as that front starts to move on through. And that could be a little bit of a death sentence for this if that drier air kind of gets mixed in to these thunder showers and storms. So it's something we're watching for. So it does not have that high moisture, especially sitting just to the north where all that dry air is. But like I mentioned before, it does have the warm water. And we know with these tropical systems, this warm water, it's the fuel to get things going. It's the fuel for these engines. And I mean, this water has also been mostly untapped for this season, especially as it gets into the Caribbean. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the steering mechanism of what's going on here, as we've had this high pressure system that's sitting over the Atlantic, and that is keeping this system heading towards the west. It's not going to be heading up towards the north like we've seen before. And that'll kind of keep it a little bit farther south from the United States, again, heading into the Caribbean Sea at this point. And I will also note that, our exclusive Fox weather model, this is our tropical threat model. It takes into account the Euro, the GFS, the Google AI model. It has upped that possibility of something tropical developing into the Caribbean from yesterday morning at this time. So that's something to take note of. Again, this is going to be through mostly the end of the month. So we still have about a week or so when we can really start to see things getting a little bit iffier out there. But to that point, talking about the GFS and the Euro and some of these models that we take into account, kind of a nice consensus that maybe something could be trying to get going as we move into the Caribbean. And this is a look at the late tropical origins of these October storms that we've seen in the past, and a lot of them starting off in the Caribbean Sea. So kind of a hot spot as we get into the second half or the later half of hurricane season. And Nick, talking about those models, I mean, right now, it's still a little bit on the messier end. I mean, you can see all of these skittles kind of spread about, but at the same time, heading into a very similar area. They kind of are in that consensus, still a little bit messy. We still don't have a defined system quite yet. But, I mean, this is pretty telling. Everything is trying to get something to pop up there.
Yeah, you know, like you said, there isn't a huge grouping. I mean, as you look at that map, your eye isn't drawn to one specific cluster, but it is drawn to the region. And I'll tell you what, this time of the year, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the historic storm Wilma that happened in 2005, but sometimes it doesn't take much. I mean, you can see a very weak tropical system spin up into something huge and epic pretty quickly. And so we really have to pay attention to what's going to be happening with this for all the reasons that you just mentioned. Water's warm. We're still not out of the Atlantic hurricane season. And when I say it's warm, I mean, it's still maroon. Man, I haven't seen this map in maybe a week, and I would have expected some of these temperatures to go down a smidge. It doesn't look like it's happened one bit. We're still at 87 right there in the middle of the Caribbean.
7 degrees. That is bath water, okay? So it does have a lot of fuel to get going if something does end up into the Caribbean. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this. And that long-range outlook, I mean, this is that likely development area that we've been talking about. But, I mean, to your point, too, Nick, I mean, we kind of start to see the main development region turn off, which is where this system originated from, or heading off the coast of Africa. And usually, you know, this is when things maybe start to slow down a little bit, but I mean, we still have through the end of November. So it's always important to kind of keep that in mind, even as we start to get those cooler temperatures, especially into the northern portions of the U.S.
Yeah, you notice there aren't quite as many red locators out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when you talk about October storms, and so we have to be extra careful and vigilant when something gets into the Caribbean and especially the Gulf. And of course, we're going to stay on it here. We are your Hurricane HQ.
Let's keep it moving.
Welcome back, America, where we're with a man who I call America's wise man, Victor Davis Hanson. We're good friends. I really appreciate everything Victor writes and says. It's so important. So, Victor Davis Hanson, my question to you is this. You're familiar with the long list of presidents that we've had, the great ones, sort of the average ones, and the worst. At this time in his second term of his presidency, where would you put Donald Trump?
Well, I think he's in the top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
He's not waging a revolution as he's accused. He's waging a counter-revolution. He's trying to, it's just not politics, Mark. It's the border, it's the economy, it's the culture, it's the Smithsonian, it's PBS, it's NPR, it's the university. I don't think we've ever had a president that looked at 360 degrees and said the country needs to be brought back radically to the middle or it's going to be destroyed. And he's done that in the first 10 months in an extraordinary way. Part of it is he learned from his first term that as he didn't look at the resumes. He said himself he came to Washington, he wasn't familiar with it. He was given a lot of illustrious names, and many people in his administration thwarted him. He had 4 years to ponder that, why he was a victim of this lawfare and other things. And this time he said, I have to have people who are force multipliers. So he's consciously, deliberately, carefully trying to redirect almost everything about American life that the progressives had altered radically the last 30 years. And the thing about it, no other Republican tried it. The Bushes didn't do it, and John McCain wouldn't have done it, Mitt Romney wouldn't have done it, Bob Dole wouldn't have done it. I can't think of any other major Republican candidate or president who would have taken on that task to say that we have gone way beyond what the founders envisioned, and we're a neo-socialist state. And every Republicans said, well, we can alter it, we can slow down the progressive project, but no one said that we can stop it. He did.
I think that's so important what you're saying. And isn't that why the resistance is more aggressive than anything we might otherwise imagine? That is, the fight over deportation. The Democrats thought they had that nailed down, could create more congressional seats, can get birthright citizenship, and be really a one-party system pretty much for the rest of time, like they've done to California, they've done to Illinois, and they've done to other states. And he put his foot down and said, no, you look at across the board how he's pushed back. But he's, as you point out, he's gone into the culture. He's gone into the society itself where the Democrats are, where the Democrats play, almost with monopoly authority. He's gone into the bureaucracy, which he never would do. They own the bureaucracy. It's not that he's turning things upside down and inside out. He's pushing things back, as you say, through a counter-revolution for normalcy, right?
Yeah, he's saying that it's not enough just to address the political revolution that the Democrats and the left wage. He asked a more fundamental question: where do they get this power to do this? Because the issues that they're running on and they champion do not have public support. Open borders don't have public support. Transgenderism doesn't have, in female sports doesn't. How did they get this power? And he said, I know how they got this power. They got it with the indoctrination of K through 12, higher education, as you said, changing the demography with an open border, weaponizing the bureaucracy, FBI, CIA, or IRS. So he said it doesn't do any good to deal with the effects unless you go to the causes. And that's why the left went crazy. They said, well, we don't have any power in the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the White House, but we have all this other power that will regenerate that political power as soon as, when we kick in 2 years. And now all of a sudden they said, oh my gosh, Donald Trump is addressing how we form propaganda, how we create bias, how we create all these dogmas that the people don't want, and we push it down their throat to these institutions. He's addressing the root causes, and that's why I don't blame them, because they understand that if he's successful, they're going to be neutered for a long time. So that's why they're furious about him.
So we have Donald Trump on the one hand, who really is historic and iconic in so many ways, as you're discussing. And then we have the Democrat Party that has moved further left faster than really any time in that party's history, adopting foreign and alien ideologies, whether it's Marxism, Islamism, all these isms, and trying to impose them on the nation, city council by city council, mayoral race by mayoral race, and even at the national level. And so the Democrat Party is fundamentally, in many respects, anti-American. I mean, their propaganda about the founding and the founders and the 1619 Project and all the rest is hostile to the very establishment of this country. So my question to you when we come back, Victor Davis Hanson, this is not a very pretty situation where you have a president of the United States who is very muscular in his promotion of Americanism and a Democrat Party that is really feckless, but still is focused on promoting these alien ideologies that undermine Americanism. That's my question to you when we come back. How is this going to work through? We'll be right back.
Click.
Oh boy. All right, just keep it moving.
Demonstrators taken to the streets of Portland, Oregon tonight, another recent hotbed of protests against the president's immigration policies. That's where we find national correspondent Jorge Ventura, who continues our team coverage tonight on the ground in Portland. Jorge.
Hey, Alex, right on top of the roof. The protest here is growing quite rapidly. Actually, we have agents coming out right now. We might see some possible clashes. Some of the agents on the roof started to put on their gas masks, so we might see some pepper balls fired here. Here are the agents right here, and they're clearing out the roadway right in front of the ICE facility. The crowd grew quite rapidly. We are hearing some pepper balls now being fired. Oh, they have a spotlight on the roof. Yeah, look at some of the agents there. They have their gas mask on. Unclear if they'll use tear gas, but normally we see the agents come out and clear this crowd when they completely block the roadway, and the protesters here have blocked the roadway for the last hour. We haven't seen local law enforcement or federal agents attempt to clear out the road, but seems like now they are. We're going to get a little bit closer here, actually. Kind of show you the scenes here. There you have a spotlight. Just want to you also want to be careful here, make sure that we're not in the line of fire. But here you can see the crowd getting quite aggressive. This is kind of the routine here in Portland. Is when the sun comes down, individuals get more aggressive, prompting a response from federal agents. Many of them continue to block that ICE entryway. Austin, if you look at the roof here, you can see one of the agents has his pepper ball gun aimed. There's a flashlight, and it's a coalition of federal agents here from Border Patrol, BORTAC, Federal Protected Services. Here we're seeing them clear out the roadway here. Oh, there it is. There's one of the pepper balls being fired now. You can hear it. Yep, there it is. Oh, yep, they're firing right in that front line. You hear that? Oh, there. Oh, Oh, someone just threw a fire. It seems like a firework at federal agents. Here, we want to. So here, Alex, we got the. Yeah, I'm going to expect the tear gas to be used here.
What the hell is going on here?
Oh, this is, all right, there it is. We have the smoke. This is.
Look at these people.
Yeah,
What the
now we
fuck
have
is
an
wrong
active
with these
scene here.
people?
The tear gas has once again been deployed.
Like, they need to arrest all these people, man. They need to stop playing around.
I'm going to back away here. Oh.
Like, are you kidding me? Why are these people all out there? Don't they have a life?
We want to make sure that our
Why are
correspondent
they
Jorge
wasting their
Ventura
life?
gets his gas mask on and is able to recover his breath, but obviously we could see things really escalating here
Lord,
outside of
help me.
Portland with federal agents both on the ground and in the roof utilizing their less lethal methods, things like tear gas, pepper balls, as Jorge was reporting, using crowd control measures to back the protesters up. There you see somebody actually right there in front of the camera using saline solution to wash out the eyes. Jorge, you've been covering this story from Portland for days now. Give us an example of what might have actually triggered this type of response. Did the protesters do anything in particular just moments before we took you live on air that caused this to unfold this way? Jorge, I'm not sure if you can hear me. If you can you tell us whether or not there was anything in particular that caused this type of force?
You can't hear shit.
As we wait Jorge to get back on camera and his microphone on, obviously we have to give him a little bit of grace in this time because he's right there on the front lines along with those protesters documenting everything that we see. Obviously, some severe escalations actually arising. These could potentially be agent vehicles often leaving the scenes of these actual buildings, the immigration buildings. That's often a reason why you see the agents actually take those steps to actually clear out protesters. Jorge there is now in front of the camera. Jorge, go ahead. Tell us the latest.
Yeah, so here, Alex, as we normally see is when this huge crowd blocks that roadway, that's when we see all the crowd control munitions. Let me show you here, Alex, come over here, Austin. This is a result of just how strong that tear gas is. Many individuals putting the water and milk. Yeah, look at the clouds here. Oh, you could even feel it just standing here. We're still a block down, but really, really large turnout here, Alex. And normally when these crowd control munitions are used, it does clear out the crowd for about half an hour. And those individuals come back, and this is kind of going to be the scene throughout the night. This crowd gets really rowdy and aggressive. From our coverage here, News Nation came down here about 2 weeks ago covering the anti-ICE protests in front of the ICE facility. So far, this is the largest turnout that I've seen and the most crowd control munitions. Let's get a little closer here, Austin. But just standing right here, Alex, you can really feel that sting of that gas going into your eyes. It really starts to burn. But take a look at here. It seems like the agents have been unsuccessful in clearing out this large crowd. We haven't seen. I'm looking down the block here. I don't see any Portland PD. There we had the pepper balls be fired again.
Whether or not the No Kings protest would actually contribute to the crowds outside the immigration facilities in Broadview here in Chicago and Portland, where you're currently stationed.
I don't understand why these
like
people are doing this.
Crowds that you've seen, but mostly from your experience, these techniques will be deployed and temporarily they will actually clear out the crowds, but almost certainly these Portland protesters will come back to continue protesting. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure you can hear me. I have my gas mask on. But just look at the amount of tear gas being used on this crowd. Enormous amounts of it. You have the pepper ball still being fired. And look at the crowd. Many of them don't even have gas masks, and they're still in front of the ICE facility. But this is an enormous amount of tear gas. We started to notice. Oh, look at that pop. We started to notice the agents are aggressive here.
Jorge, are those flashbang grenades being deployed by the federal agents that we hear, or are those fireworks being thrown from the protesters?
These people are just horrible, Chloe.
Right now, Alex, those are flashbangs. You see that? They're throwing them from the roof.
That's just wild.
And also pepper ball, crowd control munitions. I just saw one individual throw back a flashbang back to the federal agents. This is just a back and forth. We have not seen these type of flashes since we've been on the ground. apologize if it's hard to hear it, but we need to have the gas mask on in order to. Wow, look at this. The amount of flashbangs. Some of the individuals are driving the flashbangs and throwing them right back.
The hell is going on there?
No, we can hear you just fine, Jorge. We're seeing the strobe lights. Can you explain where those strobe lights are coming from? Is that the agents trying to, again, use tactics to clear them out?
That's crazy. Only in America, man.
Coming from the agents, Alex. We're going to back away just a bit here.
Yeah, maintain your
Austin, if you
distance.
can follow me here. Look at, look,
This is
look
ridiculous.
at this view right here. Look, this guy's trying to kick the tear gas. I have, Alex, so far we have not seen this amount of crowd control munitions used on the protesters. There's this woman right here. She doesn't even have a gas mask. She's yelling at the agents. This guy just kicked the tear gas.
Stupid.
Yeah, look at that tear gas canister right here. There's a few here. And
They need to arrest all those people and get them out of that area, man.
Wow, quite the
How long
scene
they
right
gonna keep
now.
doing this shit?
It is still very early here on the West Coast. Only
I tell you, if this was any other country, all those people would probably be dead by now.
Right now, Alex, here's a federal helicopter. Right above the ice, another flashbang there.
Jorge, at this time, from my vantage point, it seems as if there are more protesters out there than actual federal agents holding the line. Did they retreat in some capacity?
That's correct. That's correct. Yes, Alex, they did retreat back to the ice facility. There are still many protesters here, despite all the tear gas. Many of them are still right in front of the ice facility. But look at this crowd. Wow, we have not seen this since being on the ground. And now the gas is coming right up us. Yeah, look at the helicopter here, Alex. It's now flying here. The federal helicopter is now patrolling. But look at the smoke and the cloud coming in. It's also important to mention, Alex, here, Austin. It's also important to mention, Alex, there is an apartment complex adjacent to this ice facility. Just moments ago, I was speaking to a resident who said that the tear gas was making it inside to his apartment. But I mean, just look at the clouds of smoke. And right there's the apartment complex. I mean,
Well,
right
do
there,
that.
adjacent to the ice facility, we now are noticing the helicopter. But look at the scenes here. Let's get closer, guys.
These reporters are horrible.
Look at the crowd. We still have a large crowd here. We do not see any Portland local police attempting to at least assist the federal agents in this clash.
That's what my next question was going to be, Jorge. Obviously, this is a federal immigration building, and so we know it's patrolled, monitored, and protected by federal agents. But have you seen Portland PD step in, or
No.
maybe I don't know?
Yeah, I saw them back there.
To come
They
in
do
and try to
shit.
get a hold of this to help out the federal agents.
What's interesting, Alex, is earlier today we did see state police and we saw Portland PD attempting to clear out the crowd.
Yeah, keep your mask on.
We haven't seen any of the local law enforcement, at least in this clash. And then some of the protesters are throwing back the flashbangs right back at the federal agents. But look at the scenes here. We're going to get a bit closer here. They have a strobe light, so it's kind of hard to see the roof of the agents on. There it is, the strobe light on the gun.
This is like, what the hell is going on
And
here?
obviously, we saw you, Jorge, rightfully put on your mask because this is still a lot of smoke in the air, as we can tell. I mean, while this is playing out and we continue to see these less lethal methods being used by these federal agents, things like tear gas and pepper balls, can you explain to the viewer what it's like to be in a scene like that and be exposed to those elements? Obviously, you put on the mask because even though you're not right there in the middle of the chaos, it is still affecting your eyes, your mouth, your lungs. What is it that you're experiencing that these protesters are experiencing?
Here, I'll show you in real time. So here, Alex, if you look at my face, I mean, this...
Ew, I don't want to see your snot nose.
Stings. I mean, it goes right into your eyes, and you get this burning sensation. Almost
Yeah,
like
but you were taking off your
It
mask.
goes right into your nose and your mouth, and it just discombobulates you. And that sting is really powerful. And Alex, I've been covering protests for the last 7 years in all major cities, but I have not ever seen this amount of tear gas used by federal agents. I mean, just the clouds.
Yeah, because they're
You still have a massive
fucking
crowd.
nightmare there.
I don't know if we can show there, Austin. I know they kind of dispersed a bit, but you still have this like massive crowd hanging around. So the night is still early. What's going to be interesting here, Alex, is at one point, will we see either state or local law enforcement move in and make arrests? We continue to hear warnings from local PD saying to clear out the roads or individuals will be subject to arrest. But for some odd reason, okay, look, we have some law enforcement here. Austin. All right, we have some
Okay,
state
we're gonna
police now
take
arriving. Here, Alex.
We're going to take a
on-
second and
enforcement
let
is
Jorge
running
Ventura,
away.
his cameraman, capture
Look,
the
they're
threat.
going
Obviously,
away from
we see
it.
reinforcements arriving. It looks as if this is local
Damn
police
banks.
that'll be there to try to secure the scene.
They ain't
Obviously,
doing
from the
shit.
perspective of the local
Local
and state
police ain't doing
officials who
shit.
don't want National Guard enforcement, they want to get a hold of this scene. That's Jorge Ventura live in Portland. Much more News Nation Prime coming up after this.
That is
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app.
in Portland. Let's go ahead and see what we got. See what else I have here for you guys. Give me 1 second. Let me do some resizing here. We got some news out of Australia. And we're going to get some opinions from Australia on what they think about the American people. That's going to be fun. Let's go ahead and check that out. Give me 1 second to set it up. And here we go.
Dave Rubin, hello, man. Welcome to Australia.
It's good to see you, Paul. I like someone that does the promo first.
Yeah.
Because for the next 10 minutes, I could just be awful, but maybe they bought the tickets already.
They've already
There's
done it.
nothing they can do.
Correct.
So I owe you one.
Regardless of what you're about to see, daverubin.com/events.
And I'm very confused because I'm on the other side of the world. I thought this mic was backwards. You guys had to turn it around for me. Your toilets are going the other way. It's just it's a lot. I was just hanging out with kangaroos, which is why I'm dressed like this. I would normally be a little fancier, a button down or something.
The No Kings protest.
Yeah.
Okay, the media in the US that already hates Trump, millions of people, biggest protests ever. Well, okay, 70 million people didn't vote for him. So
Right.
this doesn't surprise me that the MSNBC lefty world
Right.
is loving the chance to say, not my king, not my president.
Well, it's absurd on a million different levels. I mean, first off, yes, it's having a lot of people out there doesn't mean that Trump has lost the country. I literally, and I mean that literally, don't know one person that voted for Trump that is off the Trump train. I do know some people, and some of them are quite influential. A guy like Stephen A. Smith, huge influential guy in America, did not vote for Trump and basically is a Trump supporter now. Bill Maher certainly did not vote for Trump. Right. Very happy with a lot of things that Trump is doing. So the idea that, okay, you have some people out, you've got your genderqueer furries with some of the Hamas people and a few other MSNBC reporters out there. And I mean, yes, I guess you're all out there for an afternoon and that's very exciting, but I don't think that's indicative of something changing on the ground. But the media, of course, wants you to think Trump's lost control, and it's complete and utter nonsense.
Well, what I love is there is no better metaphor for how off the train parts of the media are than this clip from MSNBC, where a reporter is actually going up to unicorns and asking.
I left America, so I didn't have to watch this stuff.
Sorry.
And here I am.
I'm sorry. All right, roll the tape.
Okay.
Here we go.
What the fuck? What in the hell is going on?
So scared and upset, and I don't understand why people did and voted for this person.
No, I'm not
What the fuck is going on with these people?
Promote democracy and no kings.
We're here peacefully protesting, looking as ridiculous as we can, just so maybe we appeal to the president, because he is a ridiculous leader that is normalizing abuse of power.
This guy's a fucking idiot.
USA. What about the reporter shoving?
Yeah. Can I get this thing up in your inflatable nose a little bit more so you can explain your problems to me? It's complete. All of it is insane. But you know what, Paul? Did you note that the stormtroopers didn't descend upon the rallies? Where was Darth Vader and everybody else? If Trump is so evil, if the evil empire is here, Palpatine didn't come down shooting lightning out of his fingers and stop everybody. No, they had their little episode, they had their little adventure, and they're all going to go home and be miserable. And that's just the way it works in a democracy.
That's what I love also. Like any administration, if you can tell me the three things you don't like, policy related, then we can have the chat, right?
Sure.
That poor lady.
Yeah.
Who's so whipped up, right? And okay, obviously giggling at her, but the anxiety is because she's drinking in a type of media.
Yes.
That is absolutely priming her to be afraid of every decision every day.
Well, that tells you what the divide in the world is. You're literally crying with tears of laughter. Here, take a tissue. Look good.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But that shows you, there's two different things happening. There's one thing actually happening, but two ways to look at it. So we look at it all and think, my God, this is crazy. This is so imaginary. You think people are coming for you. No one's coming for you. He's actually lowering taxes and trying to make you more free. And you think that's oppression. That's what we see, but they see this horrifically awful thing, and it shows you that the mainstream media still does have power over people's minds. If you tune into CNN or MSNBC every day, you are told Hitler is in charge, the Nazis are back, and you might end up at a rally crying, and that how we arbitrage those two things, nobody seems to have a good answer, because it's like there's one movie playing, but we're all walking out of it seeing completely different things.
Exactly. And then also, one term that you taught me was this concept of the machine, right? Yeah. Just, it's a whole bunch of stuff. We all know what that means, right? Just pumping along, solar powered now, but it used to be steam, right? And it's relentless in its pace, right? Do you get a sense that the machine is still pumping on? Has it been slowed down? Did they take a piston out of it? Let's torture the metaphor as much as I can.
When I say the machine, what I'm talking about largely is just there is something that is moving along, right? We're all sort of in a script, and it's moving along, and it finds ways to add new characters, remove characters. Some people call it the simulation. You can call it whatever you want, and you can whittle down whether I mean it in the most literal sense or a more metaphorical sense. I think at times it gets slowed down. So Trump coming in the first time, the machine was like, WTF, this wasn't supposed to get in here. Now, because so much has changed culturally, because Trump is so much better, because Americans have woken up, because we have an alt media, all of these things, the machine is not as effective. But we should note it still is effective in some way, because that's what leads a lady like that to crying. That's what leads a guy like Barack Obama the day before the election to do the very fine people hoax, thinking he could get away with it because he still believes in the machine. But enough of us have woken up, and how we communicate, how we are able to do what we're doing right now while we still have a relatively free internet and all of those things. Although I know no one under 16 is going to be doing it. I know over here, which is a different topic altogether. That's the challenge: is how do we keep fighting in an age where things will become more digital, thus more controlled?
Makes you think. Let's keep it moving.
Well, we begin tonight's show with the violent scenes in Melbourne today as far-left protest groups clashed with police, leaving 2 officers injured. Officers made multiple arrests and were forced to use capsicum spray to ward off the protesters. The chaos erupted as counter-protesters turned up to a planned demonstration against mass immigration, while similar protests in Sydney and Brisbane went off without a hitch. In Melbourne, 2 officers had to be taken to hospital, one of them with a suspected broken hand. Police Commander Wayne Cheeseman was clearly at his wits' end with the conduct of protesters.
This is what was thrown at police today, and I think Melbourne has had a gutful. I look on the social media streaming platforms of some of these issue-motivated groups that are saying police used excessive force. The fact was, these were being thrown at police. Bottles filled with shards of glass were being thrown at the police. Rotten fruit was being thrown at police. Bins were put on fire. Flags were on fire. And I think, really enough's enough.
But what's especially worth noting here is there was no attempt this time by police to draw any equivalence with the protesters from the far left and those on the right. Instead, they made clear there was one side who was causing the trouble.
People came to pick a fight with the police. The people that came to pick the fight with police were the issue-motivated groups on the left. I can tell you that the March for Australia group, They were peaceful, they were engaging, they listened to our instructions, they did what they were told, and they protested by example.
It comes as the state government doubled down, labelling the CBD as safe. Joe, I don't think anyone clearly believes that anymore when it comes to Melbourne.
No, I don't think it does. I did a comparison between Melbourne and Sydney crime stats just a couple of weeks ago, and I was even though it was done on the basis that Melbourne was an absolute basket case, and even so, I kept trying to find stuff that surely there's an exception here. Surely it can't actually be as bad as all that. Surely it can't be. And the truth is, with things like home invasions, car theft, carjacking, which is even more terrifying, on every single marker, Melbourne's crime rate is screaming up the charts exponentially, while elsewhere in New South Wales, by both numbers and percentages, it is far, far, far lower. And also in Melbourne, of course, what you've got is an extreme radical left. It is everywhere. It is someone from the sort of centre or centre left,
Melbourne,
whatever you want to call it. But it's called Melbourne, and I know exactly the sort of people that this guy is talking about. They are people who, I mean, I've been a marshal when I was a student socialist, been a marshal on protests where there were clearly, I mean, I had to pull one of them back, a guy who just wanted to basically tackle a cop who was trying to keep the march safe. There are extremist
and that's
elements.
what the police commander was saying, exactly that, Holly, that these people were coming out to pick fights with police. That was their intention. And I think there's an irony that many of these groups, people within these groups, call themselves anti-racists, anti-fascists. They're the ones acting like violent thugs, though.
And would declare themselves as some sort of peaceful protest and demand the right to do so. And I mean, it is clearly obvious. I mean, that was incredibly moving watching that police officer. You could hear the emotion in his voice, and you can only imagine. I feel my heart breaks for Victorians because I don't even know how people are staying there anymore. But after we saw the stabbing it didn't happen last week. It was when they finally acknowledged that it had happened. The woman just walking down the street.
And we'll talk about that in a bit, and we'll talk more about those statistics.
Out of control, though. And the fact, this is the new protest du jour. I mean, these people clearly do not have enough to do with themselves because it doesn't matter whether it's pro-Palestinian causes or, now they're picking the fights with the anti-mass immigration groups. These guys just need a hobby other than protesting because it's out of control. And the fact that they were throwing stones that size, bottles at police officers. But you know what? They'll be pulled in by the police, put in front of a magistrate who'll give them all bail straight away.
Well, that is one of the huge issues, and I want to get into that more in a minute.
It's not only here in America.
The case that you mentioned with that stabbing, but Evelyn,
has the same
as
problem.
a former member of the police, you know better than anyone else on this panel what it is like to have to operate in those sorts of situations. I mean, watching that strong language from the commander there, it's clear that many police in Victoria are at the end of their tether, and no surprise.
Yeah, good on him for being so bold about it, because for a long time we've known what the problem is, and for a long time there have been, blanket statements made about violent acts because people don't want to offend certain groups of people. But the elephant in the room is that more and more these days, the radical left are increasingly violent because you only have to look at the protests to see when they're successful, when they follow police directions, and then when something like this happens. And it seems to be more times than not, it is from the radical left. So good on this particular police officer for getting out there and actually hitting you straight between the eyes with the truth. And in doing so, not only does it make people who have been peacefully protesting feel like they're, vindicated of the stigma attached to them, it also will embolden police officers to speak out more truthfully about what they're seeing on the ground with their own eyes and with their own experiences. Because for this particular police officer to say that, there must be a lot more going on than even we're aware of, because he would be under the microscope, people would be watching him even above his pay grade, and for him to come out and be bold like that, it's far worse than I think we even realise. But it's a really good step in the right direction to bringing the truth to the forefront, because these radical leftists need to put be put back in their place. Like you said, not only do they need a hobby, most of them need to actually be brought before the courts for the crimes that we actually do have available at our fingertips so that this doesn't happen in the future.
I mean, Darren, I noticed at that protest a lot of still Palestinian flags, a lot of kafirs. I mean, there's a ceasefire at the moment, but I think a lot of the time with these far left groups, and I say far left, I mean, you and Joe are
We're
on
left,
the
but
left.
not far left.
But you're not far left. So that's why I make that clarification here, that it is the hard left at these protests. I'm not saying that everyone on the right and far right is, of course, perfect, but in this instance, very much, and in many protests, the problem does seem to be coming from that end of the spectrum.
Well, certainly in this instance, the right protesters, they had a permit, they had a route, they liaised with police, they knew where they were going, they did what they were told, everyone's here. The counter-protesters, they're to cause trouble. And so that's exactly their motivation, and that's exactly what they did. So part of that, if police try to say, don't go down this road because it's going to cause a confrontation, they clearly ignored all of that advice. They wanted, to make their point, but they wanted to punch on with the coppers, and they got it. And can I just say very quickly that I've got 3 cousins who are coppers in Victoria, and one of them is sort of on the desk at a fairly hot part of Melbourne in the outer north. The bail laws, it's a real problem that people can do something and 24 hours later they'll do the same crime again. They'll have been allowed out on bail. And whether it's a home invasion, whether it's a car theft, whether it's some sort of knife incident, something needs to change. It's not just because people feel unsafe, and police, not just the fellow who we saw on air before, police are not happy. It's not working.
Well, we've already seen this exodus of officers from Victoria to places like Queensland because clearly they've had enough of, as you say, arresting people, doing their jobs, and then a magistrate lets them out on bail. They have to catch them again the following week.
And the kid who, a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, someone broke into their house. He caught them. It was on TV. Caught the 15-year-old offender, who then, coming out of court less than 24 hours later, said, "I'm going to go and stab him." Like, that's not on. There needs to be a better way, and it needs to change quickly.
And I think you're seeing the police as well with the new commissioner actually speaking out about the situation and effectively speaking out against the government, contradicting the government on the fact that, oh no, there is no problem here, everything's fine, look at the statistics over here, it's just a beat up, blah, blah, blah. You had the cops going out and say, actually, no, it's a real crisis. And when a police force is basically openly, publicly contradicting its own civilian government, that's when you know that cops are really on the edge.
But it's just amazing to me that Jacinta Allen remains so pig-headed and refusing to see what is happening or admit what's happening. It's just nothing to see here.
Crazy. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Melody King.
Can we stop pretending that this was an accident? The border didn't get overwhelmed. It was since Joe Biden took office, over 10 million illegal aliens have poured into the country. 10 million. That is more than the population of 33 U.S. states.
Damn.
Entire cities swallowed whole in 4 years. They said it was humane. They said it was compassion. No.
I can't hear her with that overlay.
In the American middle class.
Okay, stop with the overlay.
Like my check is literally full. Like I don't have enough of them. So I was just like getting.
Do you know any of them at all?
No, sir.
Ven para acá. I'm out of cuffs. Señor, credencial. Sí. También, credencial.
Damn, look how they were laying. That's crazy. That's a lot of people.
Boy 107 Riddle. Show me. Come on.
Show me 1080. 3boy107. Show me 1080.
So 107 advising your 20. And vehicle.
It's gonna be a white F-250 on Santa Maria, heading southbound. 28 John Charles George 8620.
They're not stopping. Yes, the siren's on.
So to hold all non-emergency traffic for 3.107 will be in a pursuit heading southbound on Santa Maria, license plate John Charles George 8620, with being John Charles George 8620.
Time to heat up the coffee. Time to reheat the coffee.
We're approaching Man Road. Approaching Man. Hey, troop, block it right there. It's going slow.
Man Road heading southbound.
Hey, wait, hey, you got a gun? Hey, right there. And
let's put receipts on the table. Since 2021, Customs and Border Protection has logged more than 9.5 million encounters. And for every encounter, 2, sometimes 3 got caught. 2 million got away. That's not talk. That's verified by Border Patrol sensors and drone footage. Over 300 people on the terrorist watch list caught. Dozens from nations hostile to the U.S. And we're supposed to believe none of the others slipped through? But remember, the prior administration kept saying, we're working on reform. Yeah, reform that starts with letting everyone in, then blaming Texas for trying to clean up the mess. The results? Well, the hospitals became full, shelters bursting, schools forced to drop English programs because classrooms are packed with illegal minors. Meanwhile, the law-abiding Americans, they're told to be patient. Well, patience ran out about 9.9 million crossings ago.
Expired 28th. Texas Highway Patrol, read your stuff. You have expired license plates since April. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Where are you headed to today? George West. George West? Okay, where are you coming from? Just around So they got like all their paperwork in a notebook and everything like that. Well, that's something. Scaled. Or I guess when you got weighed or they weighed the truck. Well, this was back in May when they weighed it. Is that all right with you and you get your permission, you give us consent to search, or could you open that up? All right.
Uh-oh.
Everything is empty. We just sell it. All right. How much do they usually go for? Or how much I think. 300 for that? So none of these things got liquids in? Are they all empty? They're all empty. They're all empty, okay.
Hook them up, bro. You got a compartment. Well, you got a compartment. I don't know if there are people in there, but
Really?
yeah, it's a compartment.
Arrested.
These are questions. It's my duty to advise you before your rights and warn you of the consequences of waiving these rights. Okay? So, is there anything you want to explain to me? So, tell me what's up in there.
I don't know, so I'm just...
You don't know?
No, I'm just doing my job.
You doing your job? We'll do you. You gotta pick it up. No se mueve.
They found them.
¿Hay niños o no más ustedes? No, tranquilo. ¿Cuántos son? 4.
What?
We got 4.
Damn, look at that. Damn. That's crazy.
Jesus. There's about 40 or 50.
What?
About 30. No se van a correr, ¿me entienden?
Holy shit, that's a lot of people. Imagine, they're all over the country, too. About 40, 50 people on that truck. What the hell? Where the hell they thought they were gonna go? And they're all young, dumb men.
Is this your truck?
No.
No? Whose truck is this?
It's the company ship.
What company do you work with?
I don't know because I barely started, so.
He said, I don't know because I just started.
Okay. Do you know how much weight you're carrying?
What a dummy.
No? Okay. What do they use these for, do you know?
For the fence.
For the fences? Yeah. Do you have anything illegal inside the vehicle?
Oh, no.
No, anything?
No.
Anything illegal inside the wood here?
No, sir.
Nothing at all? Okay. You gave me consent to search the vehicle and everything inside of it. Morning.
Morning, sir. How are you doing today?
Good, sir. Yourself?
Good. Ready to work?
That's what I'm talking about. Turn around. Turn around.
Wow.
Put your hands behind your back.
Damn.
You're under arrest for human smuggling.
Damn. Look at this shit. How creative they were. Ah, they were hiding underneath the wood. Are you kidding me? What the fuck? Yo, these people are getting like extremely creative to get into this country.
I think that's good, man.
And to be transported around this country.
5.
Chequense, todos bien, están todos bien de salud.
Aquí siéntense enseguida, por favor. Estírese los pies.
But you don't see this in the left wing media. They won't show you this. MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, they won't show you this. I guarantee you, you guys never seen this before. And what the hell the ICE agents and Homeland Security has to go through on a daily basis every night. But the main media won't show this to you. They will not show this to you. But I will. Fucking crazy, man. Look, they're in a little high-speed chase that they just blew that stop sign. It looks like people are trying to bail. They're going to try to bail and run. There they go. Ándale, ándale, corre, corre, corren. Corren todo mundo. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 corre, corre, corren. Like, how many people came out of that vehicle? I see more than 20 people.
Al piso. Al piso, hey.
There are about 20 people that came out of that van.
Ven para acá. Hey, get this guy. Go in the back, in the back. Get him. Hey.
You're all over the place.
Al piso.
Kind of remind me of roaches. When you turn on the light, they all scatter. This is what this looks like.
Las cintas y los zapatos, por favor.
That is incredible. But they won't show you this.
But here's the part they didn't expect. The same man they mocked, silenced, and sued into the ground is now the only one actually fixing the border. The same policies that the left called racist are the same ones seeming to work. Trump's plan: finish the wall, restore, remain in Mexico, deport the getaways, put ICE back in full force. No apologies, no excuses, just law and order. You can already see it. The moment Trump got back into the Oval Office, morale shot up.
Mm-hmm.
Governors are coordinating.
Everything had changed.
Texas, Arizona, Florida, all working with him, not against him. He said it from day one. Without borders, you don't have a country. Well, Dems laughed. But they can laugh all they want now, because while they hide behind podiums, well, the new administration is the only one who's actually reduced illegal crossings by 90%.
Woo.
Now he's promising more mass deportations and full border military operation and a new standard. America first means border first. And now suddenly the Democrats are panicking because the grown-ups are back in the room.
Yep.
Tempo 40-50 miles per hour, still going northbound.
You go to the driver.
I hear the sirens on. I'm trying to pull over this vehicle. They're not pulling over.
We're still going northbound, approaching business 83. Just past the water tower.
What's the big 9103 clear? Advise you still northbound, approaching business.
They ain't stopping.
Speeds about 50, 60 miles per hour.
Text map alert.
Stand by, looking to bail out. Stand by.
Yeah, bail.
I don't know if you can see me on the map. Unknown street right now. We're going westbound in the neighborhood.
Damn, they won't stop. Oh, they gotta go.
Go. Still going westbound.
That truck faked out the cops. Like, that truck's never gonna like outrun the police. Oh. Go ahead. Oh, they let this one go. Get the fuck out the way. Come on, get in the car. Entrate en el carro.
That's him. Get him. Go. I get the good.
The others are like, oye, quédese adentro. Damn. What's this, TV? You saw the camera? Where the hell they came from? The TV camera.
We're still looking for the driver.
You see, there's like a reporter or something.
For hands. I got the vehicle stopped. Felony stop. Got 2 BP agents with me. Stop. Get out. Step out. Walk towards me. Keep your hands in your head. Keep your hands.
¿Qué pasa? Man, this is so risky for the police officers, you know? There's border patrol. Damn, they're like a pack of sardines. Damn.
Guatemala. Todos de Guatemala.
Guatemala. They're coming from Guatemala.
You're going to be placed under arrest for smuggling of persons, okay?
Damn.
Patrol, go ahead and come on out of the car. Hey, it's loaded. Yep, just you. Hey, just stay here. Come on.
You see, this is what Trump's fighting against. But then the Democrats want to fight Trump because of this. They want all these people to stay here and eat up our benefits. The Democrats were never for the people, man. Never were for the people.
Oh, over here.
And the fact that they continue to confuse and brainwash people into believing their bullshit is unreal, man. Anyone that's a Democrat is definitely fucking brainwashed. Is definitely hypnotized by some shit the Democratic Party has put on them. I woke up from a long time ago from that bullshit, and my brain like totally wiped from their psychosis that they put on me in the 80s. And like, I see everything from the outside in, and man, the Democratic Party is just a fucking mess. Look, even vans, U-Haul vans, they got immigrants
Go ahead and
on.
step back here. Where are you headed to?
I'm headed back towards Canton, Texas.
Canton? Okay, who are all the people laying down in the back?
They said they needed a ride, said that their car was broke down a couple miles back, but I told them I was like, okay, but that's all. They said they needed a ride up to...
Just put your hands behind your back.
Oh, okay. You don't know them, though?
I don't.
Yeah.
Manos. 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 Turn around. Chill.
Damn. That's crazy. You know? Thank you, Matty King, for another great video. I would like to see this one.
You're going to be charged with 3 counts of human smuggling.
Damn, 3 counts of human smuggling. That's crazy, man. These people, I don't know. It's just a weird time. We're at a weird timeline.
They said
it's just, I don't know what I woke up to. And I don't know why I'm here. Because it's just, everything is so wild, man. Everything, like, between, like, the Democrats and just their craziness. It's just that group has been infiltrated. The Democratic Party has been infiltrated by a lot of different militia groups. And so especially that LGBTQ, LMLPQRXYZ to the 10,000 million power. I don't know what number they're at now, but I'm pretty sure it's up there. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. Like, the Democrats don't see that we're trying to clear out the people that don't belong here and send them back, and yet they want to protest against that. They want to protest, no kings, no kings. When was the last time the United States had a fucking king? Fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. And the fact that they get attention for their stupidity, and I only get one person watching me, it's incredible. It is very incredible. Like, the suppression of YouTube on me is beyond me. But it's okay. Things are just not going to get better. That's just what it is. It's just not going to get better. And you'll see. You'll see. All right, let's go up. Let's watch this next segment here.
Alert: Israel conducting an airstrike in Gaza overnight, saying that Hamas terrorists attacked Israeli troops on the ground there.
Israel is calling it a bold violation of the new ceasefire, putting the whole region on edge.
Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Good morning, Trey. This is not good news.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. It's not good news. The Israeli military is currently striking the Gaza Strip. They say Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement. I spoke with one military official who said 2 separate attacks took place inside Israeli-controlled territory. One of them an RPG attack and the other a sniper attack conducted by Hamas. Most of the strikes this morning have taken place in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, but there is at least one report of a strike in the northern part of the enclave. This was a difficult moment for Israeli forces, having to make a decision about whether or not to start striking Gaza again. We also understand at this moment that there are warnings from the U.S. State Department against Hamas. Overnight, a statement was released by the U.S. State Department saying, quote, the United States has informed the guarantor nations of the Gaza peace agreement of credible reports indicating an imminent ceasefire violation by Hamas against the people of Gaza. And so we're looking at 2 separate things here. 1, an attack by Hamas overnight on Israeli forces within the Gaza Strip. And 2, a warning from the U.S. State Department that Hamas is planning to target Palestinian civilians or forces that are currently opposing their rule inside Gaza. All of this comes as Hamas released the bodies of 2 additional hostages overnight. We do know the name of one of those hostages from a kibbutz in the southern part of Israel. His name is Ronen Engel, and Israeli authorities released his name overnight after informing his family. This means that there are still 16 bodies belonging to hostages inside Gaza. Those bodies are supposed to be released by Hamas as part of this agreement, and they've been trickling out so far since the agreement went into place. But again, the latest information that we have right now, Israeli forces are indeed striking the Gaza Strip. The military confirms to Fox News after they say Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement. Guys?
Trey, really quick. So when Hamas violated that agreement and those rockets were shot over to Israel, were there civilians there? And then on the Israeli side, in their retaliation, are there civilians involved in that as well?
So we understand that Hamas violated the agreement by firing across the yellow line. This is the line that divides the Gaza Strip, where Israeli forces are currently in control and where Hamas is still in control. And according to this military official that I talked to, there were 2 separate attacks. One was an RPG attack, and the other was a sniper attack targeting Israeli forces within Gaza. The Israelis still control about 53% of the Gaza Strip as part of phase 1 of this agreement. If the ceasefire moves forward, they will pull back. But this yellow line will continue to be something that we talk about. Over the weekend, a Palestinian family was killed after an Israeli tank fired on their vehicle. Now, the Israelis say that vehicle crossed the yellow line in violation of the ceasefire, and after warning shots were fired, they targeted the vehicle. And so this yellow line will continue to be a sticking point in the negotiations about where exactly the line is located. Of course, the Gaza Strip is around 30 miles long, and so it's very difficult to know the exact points along the enclave where Israeli forces are in control and where Hamas is in control. But the fact that Hamas has launched this blatant attack against Israeli forces is an indication that they are not adhering to the ceasefire agreement. To fire a rocket-propelled grenade and to conduct a sniper attack is a clear indication that Hamas still wants to fight inside Gaza. And Israeli forces have been very clear they will strike the Gaza Strip if Hamas violates the agreement. And already today, we understand, according to sources in Jerusalem, that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to hold security consultations as a result of this Hamas ceasefire violation. And there could be further actions by the Israelis. And of course, we do expect more communication to the intermediaries to try and get this back on track from a diplomatic angle. We know that Vice President J.D. Vance and also U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are scheduled to visit Israel this week, and they're going to be discussing how to keep this ceasefire in place and ensure that it doesn't collapse.
So, Trey, let's step back for a second. Do we have any indication that something led up to this? Did we see this coming? And also, has Hamas officially said anything about why they're doing this?
They have not. They have talked on propaganda channels on Telegram and other messaging sites that they use to release propaganda, confirming that they are launching attacks against forces inside Gaza that oppose their rule. And we saw last week those horrific execution videos of Hamas killing civilians they claimed that stole aid or were working with the Israelis. As for the attacks on Israeli forces, this isn't surprising. In the past, when there have been ceasefires in place and agreements that were reached, not only during this war, but previous wars that we have covered, Hamas has violated the agreement because they want to continue the fight against Israel. And oftentimes they'll do it in these very small ways, single attacks here and there. But what the Israeli military wants to do is set a precedent, a red line. And so if any of these attacks happen, according to officials that we've spoken with, they will immediately respond because they want a level of deterrence. The issue here is if this spirals out of control and these hostages, but they still do have the bodies of 16 others. Hamas has not ever acted in good faith when it comes to these negotiations, and they have often violated ceasefire agreements. And so this isn't a surprising moment. It's a moment that the Israeli military prepared for. There are contingency plans in place. There is still drone monitoring over the Gaza Strip and the ability for the Israeli Air Force to strike Gaza. But it is certainly concerning from a diplomatic level, because the Trump administration wants this ceasefire ceasefire to move forward. They want the war to be over. And it is very challenging with Hamas still in control of just under half of the Gaza Strip, because they are now controlling the streets of Gaza in the areas that they are still operating in. There are gunmen in the streets. They are executing their opponents. And as we saw early this morning, they are now launching new attacks on Israeli forces.
So, Trey, you've been covering this from the beginning, and you've been covering these conflicts for many years now. What is your sort of gut feeling? Does this feel like something that is about to completely unravel, or is there still some hope that this might be a skirmish and that they might get back to the original ceasefire?
So I can tell you what's happening behind the scenes right now. Not only Israeli officials, but likely American officials, Egyptian officials, and Qatari officials are speaking every hour to try to get this back on track. The challenging part here, having covered this region all the way back to the war in 2014, is that Hamas is an organization that's very challenging to control. They don't operate in the way that a normal state would operate, or even a paramilitary group. This is a terrorist organization. And so even if their officials in Qatar or in Turkey or even inside the Gaza Strip say they're willing to adhere to the ceasefire agreement, it's a splintered organization that is fighting with guerrilla tactics. And so they can easily launch attacks in different locations to try to pressure Israeli forces that are inside Gaza. And the fear here is that this unravels into a broader ceasefire violation by Hamas, and then the war resumes, and that there's pressure on the Israelis to basically continue the war. Remember, Hamas agreed to disarm. They agreed to lay down their weapons. And I asked President Trump about this in our interview last week, and he said he still expects Hamas to adhere to the agreement. The challenging part here is if they don't lay down their weapons and they continue to fire on Israeli forces inside Gaza, the war is going to resume. And so that's the negotiating part. That's what comes next. There will be consultations that take place not only today, but into next week with Egyptian and Qatari officials to try to send a message to Hamas that's very simple. The war will resume if you don't lay down your weapons and stop these attacks on Israeli forces. They still do have a small arsenal of weapons inside Gaza, and as they've shown today, they're willing to use them.
Yeah. Really a fragile situation with a lot of breaking news at this hour. Trey Yingst, thanks for getting up for us. Please keep us posted. We will bring you back as news warrants. Trey Yingst live in Tel Aviv.
Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
I'm Steve Ducey.
All right. Let's bring it back to me. I got to resize a couple of videos here that I want to watch with you guys. Just bear with me. Trying to find where I was looking. I hope you guys are having a good morning. It's a beautiful morning here. It was nice and cool. In the 40s. I think it was like 46 this morning. And it's a beautiful morning. The sun did pop up for a bit. We do have a little bit of cloudy skies. We're supposed to get some rain. I'm not sure if it's today. I think it's today because my body's been acting up. Couldn't sleep that well last night. It wasn't that bad, but I didn't sleep that good. Blame it on the rain. I blame it on the rain. So right now it's 56 here in Connecticut. High today is going to be in the 70s. Yeah, it's going to be rain tonight. Yeah, we got rain coming in tonight. And on Monday morning it's going to be raining. Great. I got a doctor's appointment. I got to go see the neurosurgeon on Monday morning. Then I got an afternoon appointment too. Tuesday into Wednesday looks like some rain. That sucks. I bet it's a cold front that's coming through. Let's see what we got here. I got a couple of windows open. So we're gonna watch a couple of more news. And everything else looks like it's Move some of these windows around. Been working here overtime with my fingers. All right, let's check out this story. Okay, here we go. Let's put up the volume.
Gone unchecked as they funnel illicit drugs into our country that kills our people. But those days are over because the buck stops with President Trump. This week, our military launched another strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. And despite Nicolas Maduro's best efforts to have these strikes declared illegal by the UN Security Council, President Trump can't be intimidated, and he isn't letting up anytime soon. In fact, he's now weighing a direct land hit. And just this week, he even authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations within Venezuela. Joining me now is retired Navy SEAL commander and New York Times best-selling author, Jocko Willink. Jocko, welcome to My View. I am such a fan of yours and all you stand for. You're all about getting the job done, about work ethic and all of those things. We have a president who's getting the job done. He's not going to be intimidated. He's sending a strong signal out there. We've seen multiple strikes now on these Venezuelan drug boats so that they can't bring illicit drugs into our country. And listen to what the president had to say about what he thinks might come next.
We are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that I view that as a good thing, not a bad thing. Every boat is saving 25,000 lives. And you can see it. The boats get hit and you see that fentanyl all over the ocean. But we're going to stop them by land also.
All right, so he says he's going to stop them by land also. We may see our military dealing with, some of these drug cartels on land. What do you think of that tactic? Is that the best next move?
Well, I think Tom Clancy wrote a novel about this years ago called Clear and Present Danger, which was about attacking the Colombian drug lords down that were killing Americans through their drug trade. And this is the same thing that we see now, but it's taken a long time until finally someone steps up and is doing something about it. These drugs kill 100,000 people a year in America, and it certainly seems like we should be taking action, and it certainly seems like President Trump is taking action.
Yeah, he's not afraid to do the right thing to protect the American people. I'll tell you somebody, Jocko, who's probably not thrilled with it is Nicolas Maduro. And while this administration hasn't gone so far as to say that they are advocating for regime change, I think a lot of people are hopeful that he takes his socialist grip off of the Venezuelan people. So what's your take on what we might see there? Could we possibly see all of this resulting in a regime change and new leadership for the people of Venezuela?
There's no doubt that this activity is going to cause all kinds of disruption to the economic systems down there, the political systems down there. And this is the kind of thing that can lead to uprisals in the country. So there's going to be a lot of pressure. It'll be interesting to see the way it plays out. And I think we'll be finding that out in the coming months.
Well, speaking of crazy socialists and people who apparently are hell-bent on destroying things, AOC did a bit of a CNN town hall this week, and listen to what she had to say about Republicans apparently radicalizing young men. Listen to this.
They are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others.
Yo, they just are so opposite.
Darker or a different gender
That's
than
not
them.
true.
Jocko, you've written a book series, Way of the Warrior Kid. You talk about lessons you learned.
Fucking the Democrats want you all to turn into queers and fucking trans.
I would love to get your
What are you
take
talking
on
about?
what you just heard there from AOC. Do you think Republicans are radicalizing young men?
No, actually, I would say the opposite. I think that it's actually the left-wing radicals that have done more to push young men towards conservative, because they've been telling for the last several years, they've been saying that these young men are evil, that competition is bad, that hard work is bad, that the military is bad, police are bad, and that steak and the engine are bad, and that family and God and country are bad. And when you continually beat people down with those types of things, they're going to react to it. And I think they're trying to get young men to suppress their natural instincts to be strong, their natural instincts to be assertive, their natural instincts to be protective. And when you try and suppress someone, what do? They're going to lean back into their natural instincts. And so I think that the left wings, this far left, might be radicalizing young men. But I would say that young men are waking up. Young men are realizing that it's actually okay to be strong. In fact, it might be good to be strong. It's actually okay to have goals. It's okay to want to win. And those aren't radical views at all. Those, to me, are just American values. Those are just hard work and discipline and respect and patriotism. And I do not believe, and I don't think that most people believe, that patriotism is a radical view. And yes, I put those values out inside my kids' books, Way of the Warrior Kid, where young girls and boys can recognize that things like hard work and discipline will pay off in the long run, and that is the American way.
Well, I'll tell you, that's how Eric and I are raising our kids. So I'm grateful that you have a book series out there and that you're all about that too. There are a lot of moms and dads who have changed their tune and they want their kids to get on the path that you're talking about. We still have the government shutdown dragging on. You obviously are a veteran. We are so grateful for your service to our country. And we had 1.3 million active duty military members, Jocko, who were about to lose out on a paycheck. But President Trump stepped in and he said, I want to make sure the Pentagon gets these men and women, our service members, paid. Tell me, what does that mean to have a president who is willing to fight for our military members in the same way they're willing to fight for all of us?
Yeah, it's outstanding, and you really can't have it any other way. We've got these young men and women that are out there. They've got to defend our country. They've got to focus on their mission. And the last thing we want them to be worried about is paying their rent, paying their mortgage, making their car payments. We don't want them thinking about that. So amazing move by President Trump and the Secretary of War to get the troops paid, to continue to do their job and fulfill their mission.
Amen to that. We are grateful for every single one of them, and we're grateful for you joining us here on My View tonight. Thank you so much, Jocko. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
I was trying to get this thing, freaking StreamYard, man. I hate when it's just, they do all this new stuff and it slows everything down. Let's bring to me. Let's see what I found. Give me 1 second to check this out. All right, guys. I think I would like for you guys to listen to something here. And this is something that from 5 years ago that was put on YouTube. But this is the first time we're going to watch it together. And then let me close out some windows and resize another couple of ones here. I do have some add-ons. I'll probably leave the show around 10 something. It's 9:19 right now. So I'm like halfway on my joint. So I ain't really going anywhere. This is kind of like a wake and bake also with a side of coffee. But this shows the title. I had changed it up because it is what it is. Okay, here we go. All right, you ready? All right, let's watch this. This is an educational program. Besides the news and all the stuff that I do on this channel, and I try to keep to a certain, if I'm doing the news, then I'm sticking to the news. If I'm doing psychic work, then I stick to the psychic. Right now, I've just been more trying to pay attention to what's going on, real time, real world, and what I feel and what I see and what I hear. And it's wild times we're living in, very unique times. Now, let's educate ourselves with something that, one of the good presidents. I would put him in the top 10 of presidents. Let's hear this message from Ronald Reagan. Let's put some volume on that.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. In this vote harvesting time, they use terms like the Great Society, or as we were told a few days ago by the President, we must accept a greater government activity in the affairs of the people. But they've been a little more explicit in the past, and among themselves, and all of the things I now will quote have appeared in print. These are not Republican accusations. For example, they have voices that say the Cold War will end through our acceptance of a not undemocratic socialism. Another voice says the profit motive has become outmoded. It must be replaced by the incentives of the welfare state. Or our traditional system of individual freedom is incapable of solving the complex problems of the 20th century. Senator Fulbright has said at Stanford University that the Constitution is outmoded. He referred to the President as our moral teacher and our leader. And he says he is hobbled in his task by the restrictions of power imposed on him by this antiquated document. He must be freed so that he can do for us what he knows is best. And Senator Clark of Pennsylvania, another articulate spokesman, defines liberalism as meeting the material needs of the masses through the full power of centralized government. Well, I, for one, resent it when a representative of the people refers to you and me, the free men and women of this country, as the masses. This is a term we haven't applied to ourselves in America. But beyond that, the full power of centralized government, this was the very thing the Founding Fathers sought to minimize. They knew that governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose. They also knew, those Founding Fathers, that outside of its legitimate functions, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector of the economy. Not too long ago, a judge called me here in Los Angeles. He told me that a young woman who'd come before him for a divorce. She had 6 children, was pregnant with her 7th. Under his questioning, she revealed her husband was a laborer earning $250 a month. She wanted the divorce to get an $80 raise. She's eligible for $330 a month in the Aid to Dependent Children program. She got the idea from 2 women in her neighborhood who'd already done that very thing. Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything. Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's just that they know so much that isn't so. Now, we have so many people who can't see a fat man standing beside a thin one without coming to the conclusion the fat man got that way by taking advantage of the thin one. So they're going to solve all the problems of human misery through government and government planning. Well, now, if government planning and welfare had the answer, and they've had almost 30 years of it, shouldn't we expect government to read the score to us once in a while? Shouldn't they be telling us about the decline each year in the number of people needing help, the reduction in the need for public housing? But the reverse is true. Each year the need grows greater, the program grows greater. We were told 4 years ago that 17 million people went to bed hungry each night. Well, that was probably true. They were all on a diet. But now we're told that 9.3 million families in this country are poverty-stricken on the basis of earning less than $3,000 a year. Welfare spending 10 times greater than it was in the dark depths of the Depression. We're spending $45 billion on welfare. Now do a little arithmetic and you'll find that if we divided the $45 billion up equally among those 9 million poor families, we'd be able to give each family $4,600 a year. And this, added to their present income, should eliminate poverty. Direct aid to the poor, however, is only running about $600 per family. It would seem that someplace there must be some overhead. So now we declare war on poverty, or you too can be a Bobby Baker. Now, do they honestly expect us to believe that if we add $1 billion to the $45 billion we're spending, one more program to the 30-odd we have, and remember this new program doesn't replace any, it just duplicates existing programs, do they believe that poverty is suddenly going to disappear by magic? Well, in all fairness, I should explain there is one part of the new program that isn't duplicated. This is the youth feature. We're now going to solve the dropout problem, juvenile delinquency, by reinstituting something like the old CCC camps. And we're going to put our young people in these camps. But again, we do some arithmetic and we find that we're going to spend each year just on room and board for each young person we help, $4,700 a year. We can send them to Harvard for $2,700. Of course, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting Harvard is the answer to juvenile delinquency. But seriously, what are we doing to those we seek to help?
That is amazing history. It just leaves me like in awe. Like, wow. Freaking Reagan. Definitely, I would put him in the top 10 for sure. Probably within the top maybe 5. You know, maybe pretty close, like outside looking in. What I mean by that is like 6th spot of presidents. Yeah, he's definitely like top 10 for sure. Maybe top 5, but outside of top 5 in the 6th spot. But that's just me. That's my thought. Let's see what's going on, because there's a lot of things going on right now.
The Israeli military has,
and I think the ceasefire is breaking down. And the U.S. I think is going to get involved because the deal, they got to eradicate and take Hamas out of that area, and they're gonna have to. The militaries have to go on the ground and just vet everybody and get everybody out of there and secure the area. Make sure everyone's vetted, because you don't know who these guys are when they take off their uniforms and their little green little beret that they have. Like, they blend in with everyone, so you don't know who's who. And they could lie, they could do so many things, and it's like, gotta be careful. But let's go ahead and check this story out.
the Israeli military has launched an attack in Gaza. A military official says Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement and carried out multiple attacks near Rafah, including an RPG and sniper attack against Israeli soldiers. The IDF has responded with airstrikes. This comes after Benjamin Netanyahu said the Rafah border would remain closed in Egypt until all the bodies of hostages were handed over, stalling further aid from reaching Palestinians. Larry Madowo has the details.
Israeli and Palestinian disagreement over the Rafah border crossing spilled into the open Saturday. The Palestinian embassy in Egypt put out a statement saying that the Rafah border crossing would reopen on Monday for Palestinians that want to go back into Gaza. But then just minutes later, the office of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said it would not reopen until further notice. The Rafah border crossing is key to Palestinians accessing Egypt medical treatment, seeing family. There's tens of thousands of Palestinians that live in Egypt. The disagreement over the hostages, the deceased hostages, is at the core of this. Israel believes that Hamas is in breach of the ceasefire deal mediated by the U.S., but Hamas says it is committed to that deal, but it's having difficulty accessing the bodies, partly because the enclave was bombed out so badly, most of it is in rubble, and they don't have the earth-moving equipment, more of the bulldozers needed to dig up through the rubble to retrieve these bodies, and they accuse Israel of not allowing those to come in. U.S. officials hope to go to phase 2 of that ceasefire agreement. In the meantime, there's a need for a further surge of aid. The UN warning for days that aid needs to come in at a much higher level across all the border crossings. In the World Food Program, for instance, saying it has the food necessary to feed Gazans for at least 3 months, but it just needs to come in as quickly as possible.
And Israel has said the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip will remain closed until further notice.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, there's, let's continue watching. Let's see. I guess we're going to have to watch this in a little bit. So let's put this to the side. Watch, let me see, developing Hamas violates ceasefire. This is coming from Fox Business, and then we got Fox Now, so we can watch both of these.
I also want to bring a post from the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, as we follow breaking news from on this international front. Take a look at this. They say, earlier today, terrorists fired an anti-tank missile and gunfire toward IDF troops operating to dismantle terrorist infrastructure in the Rafah area in southern Gaza, in accordance with the ceasefire agreement. In response, the IDF has begun striking in the area to eliminate the threat and dismantle tunnel shafts and military structures used for terrorist activity. These terrorist actions constitute a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement, and the IDF will respond firmly. Taking us out to this, a live image that we have also over in Jerusalem, in Israel. Coming up at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we are expecting an update, an Israeli government briefing amid all of these ceasefire tensions. But going back to some more of that breaking news that we were just reporting, courtesy of Fox News, saying that the Israeli military conducted strikes against Hamas in Gaza after accusing the terrorist organization of repeatedly violating its ceasefire agreement on Sunday. An Israeli military official confirming to the strikes to Fox News on Sunday, pointing to attacks by Hamas since Friday. The official said the attacks on Israeli forces all took place beyond the line behind which Israel had withdrawn under the terms of agreement, saying, quote, the terror organization Hamas carried out multiple attacks against Israeli forces beyond the yellow line. The attacks included an RPG shot at a military force and a sniper fire against a military force. Again, that is what the official told Fox News in a statement, adding, quote, both of the incidents happened in an Israeli-controlled area east of the Yellow Line. This is a bold violation of the ceasefire. And this does come as the U.S. State Department saying Saturday that it has, quote, credible reports that Hamas could violate the ceasefire with an attack on Palestinian civilians in Gaza. If that attack takes place, it would constitute that direct and grave violation of the agreement forged by President Trump to end the 2-year war between Israel and Hamas, according to that statement from the State Department. No further details were disclosed about that potential attack, but I want to bring us back out to that post on X from the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces. And again, they say this, that earlier today, terrorists fired an anti-tank missile and gunfire toward IDF troops operating to dismantle terrorist infrastructure in Rafah area in southern Gaza. In accordance with the ceasefire agreement, in response, the IDF has begun striking the area to eliminate the threat and dismantle tunnel shafts and military structures used for terrorist activity. These terrorist actions constitute a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement, and the IDF will respond firmly.
Wow.
So coming up in about a little over 20 minutes from now, we are expecting, again, that Israeli government briefing and an update as the ceasefire still there in the area between Israel and Hamas, but a lot of developments that we are following. And just a reminder that Israel did confirm and identify 2 more remains of hostages on Sunday morning after Hamas handed over their bodies to the Red Cross the night before. As the Palestinian group said, talks to launch the second phase of ceasefire negotiations have begun.
All right. Let's go ahead and check out the weather for today. Let's go ahead and put some volume on this.
Coverage a little bit to bring you the very latest on what was happening through your Sunday afternoon and evening. And boy, was it active as expected. This
hey, good morning, 7.
2 out of 5 level severe weather.
On your way to work.
For good cause.
Awesome.
A couple of tornado reports coming in.
Have a great day at work.
To Hot Springs, Arkansas. You see Little Rock.
Checking out
right
some
up
of
here.
the
We're
weather
talking
now.
About how Little Rock
Had a
was
very
right in the
busy
middle
morning
of that severe weather threat
with the
yesterday. And
kids.
lo and behold, tornado touches down. Multiple reports in Bismarck of a tornado on the ground at Highway 128. This was yesterday evening. And of course, tornado also knocking over trees within the vicinity. As we pull you back out, we also had another tornado in Louisiana and just across the Mississippi over in the state of Mississippi as well. Wind gusts of 60 across the region. A lot of trees, power lines coming down as well. And of course, a lot of those trees falling, blocking roads. There in Patmos,
Wow.
we had trees blocking AR-29 north of Louisville. So yeah, my goodness, there was a lot of power behind some of these storms. Even further north, we were tracking a line of showers moving through Chicago at about this time yesterday. Didn't see any severe weather move through Chicago, although the rain did prompt a ground stop at O'Hare. But that same cold front spawned up some hail makers and took down a couple of trees and power lines as far north as La Crosse there in Indiana. That same cold front continues to move east, and we still have this part of the nation and another chunk further north into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast under a 1 out of 5 level severe storm threat. And it does look like, sure, we could see a tornado or 2 spin up in the region, or at least something on radar that will prompt a tornado warning, but it looks like damaging winds, so straight line winds, will likely be the main concern. We've already kind of seen that. I mean, we already had a 52 mile per hour wind gust reported in and around Montgomery, Alabama, as this squall line made its way through the area. Doesn't look quite as put together as it did at the beginning of last hour. You can see it is starting to fall apart just a touch down here. But if we do see a spin up on a squall line like this, typically you kind of see them on the edges of these squall lines where there's a little bit of rotation or an eddy. Sometimes those will spawn a tornado warning. So a heads up, right along I-85 is some of the heaviest rain right now in Columbus. Unfortunately, this line of shower is going to move into your area soon. We were just talking about this at the end of last hour, but Pensacola seeing heavy rain right now. Destin, you're next up. I-10 from Mobile right through, say, Pensacola, going to be a little bit nasty and wet and slow going right now. This is how it all times out. We're going to start you off right now and take you through the future. And as we stop this at about 10 o'clock, a good chunk of that rain still impacting the Florida Panhandle and sweeping through the central part of Georgia. Eventually, by this evening, we get into northern Florida, so Jacksonville getting in on some of this mess, and the Jaguars not playing at home. They are playing a home game, but their home game is in London. So unfortunately, even though they're playing in London, or had they have stayed home in Jacksonville, it looks like their game is going to be rainy because, as we just mentioned, there's the potential for some rain in Wembley Stadium in London. Meanwhile, you get further north, on the north end of this cold front, Cleveland, you're not seeing rain right now, but the rain isn't too far away from you. It looks like Mansfield there along I-71 getting in on some of the light showers before the heavier stuff pushes in. And Bain mentioned it earlier. Her family's running in what, a half marathon, a marathon right now?
Yeah, half marathon in Detroit.
That's right. So getting a little bit wet right there as that northern edge of the front continues to push through parts of Michigan. And this is that second area of the potential for severe weather, the severe storm threat. It pushes, or it exists, as far north as the mid-Atlantic and across parts of the Northeast. So much of Pennsylvania, all of Virginia, good chunk of West Virginia, under this 1 out of 5 threat as well. And again, strong wind gusts likely going to be the main concern with this as well. And we'll roll you through the next several hours or so.
Oh boy, we're going to get a little
rain around Michigan. Remember,
right, tonight,
we could
yeah.
see a stripe of 2 to 3 inches across the mitten.
Oh
as
man,
we
we're
go
going to
throughout
get
the
it
day.
tonight.
Today, we'll keep some of those lingering showers across the northeast as
That's why
well.
I'm feeling like
and
shit.
of course, it's also going to be windy as this area low pressure kind of swings across this region too. So probably not going to be the nicest day across the northeast. So hopefully you got maybe outside and did what you had to do outdoors before some of this rain and wind moves through the area for today.
Yeah, definitely. It's I know it's gonna rain. I already feel I've been feeling it. That's why I came on here to not be sleepy in the bed. Like I come on the show, it's like filling my head up with a lot of information. You know, all the news and whatever that I watch on here, because I'm watching all this for the first time with you guys. Let me resize a couple of add-ons. All right. Let's see, where are we? All right, let's check this one out. This one, I think it's just a report on the foliage up in the Northeast. We having colors. It's okay, the colors. Maybe tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Monday. Maybe tomorrow I'll go up the mountain and take some pictures and maybe some video so you guys can see the foliage out here. I think something that I could do. Should be interesting. We'll see. All right, let's check out this news report.
What's fall without fall foliage? Leaf peeping season has finally arrived in the Northeast. We've seen beautiful scenes in the past few days, but that's not for much longer. Weeks of drought conditions have made a major impact on this year's season. So joining us now is Executive Director at Mount Washington Valley Chamber of Commerce, Chris Prue. Chris, thanks for joining us this morning. I know a lot of folks get really excited for fall because of the fall foliage and how everything looks. And you know, Chris, what makes the Mount Washington Valley one of the best leaf peeping destinations in the country?
Thanks for having me. This is really exciting. The Mount Washington Valley we're just south of the Northeast highest peak, Mount Washington. But we also have, in addition to the beautiful foliage, there are so many different attractions here. We have sightseeing train tours. We have mountain climbing trains. We have, retail outlets. We have covered.
I've been there before.
We're seeing on the screen. One of our
it's beautiful over there.
Attractions is the Kancamaga Scenic Byway. It's a 26-mile road that basically connects two idyllic mountain towns with nothing but national forest in between. There are plenty of places to stop in your car and see waterfalls right off the side of the road, or scenic vistas, or if you are into hiking and want to climb a mountain, we have plenty of those. Some of the most spectacular scenery and outdoor recreation, really anywhere in the country.
It's very beautiful.
I'm just looking at these
it
images,
is.
And
I've been there.
Gorgeous. And this year has been a little bit different. We've been dealing with that drought. How has this year's fall foliage season compared to previous years in terms of color and timing so far?
Yeah, I think a foliage season is kind of like predicting snowfall over the course of a year. You never know quite what you're going to get, but from most people, I'll say we have like a 3-week period from late September to mid-October where you can find peak foliage somewhere in the White Mountains. What's been a little bit different this year is it's been a little bit more varied and sporadic. The season hasn't lasted a full 2 weeks as it sometimes does, where the different regions kind of come together for one major peak time. We saw upper elevations peak a little bit early, and I think because of the drought, the trees may have been a little weaker and just weren't holding on to those leaves as long as maybe they would have. But I also think that there's been a lot of talk of the drought, and I think the kind of the muted foliage has been exaggerated just a little bit. I was out yesterday, and all of a sudden there are colors that are still emerging late, but they're absolutely spectacular. Took a hike up Black Cap Mountain yesterday. And
Yeah,
the
here
views down to North
we're
Conway
not
and the
peaked
surrounding
yet.
ranges are absolutely stunning right now. So,
But I'll
if
be taking
anything,
pictures tomorrow.
it's just a little bit more scattered, a little bit more varied. The Kancamagus Highway, which we mentioned earlier, seemed to have peaked in early October, and that's pretty faded right now. But the lower valleys, maybe where we've been able to hold on a little bit more to the moisture that we didn't get over the course of the summer, maybe that's resulted in the colors that we're seeing right now emerging late.
And you kind of mentioned it there. It's still gorgeous out there, no matter what. It's beautiful. You're still seeing a lot of those gorgeous leaves. For folks that have kind of come out already this season, how are they reacting to maybe a little bit more of a sporadic, colorful fall foliage season?
Yeah, I know. I think that's right. We have had some people who come from really all over the world and plan on a vacation at a certain time of year, hoping to hit it just right. So it's kind of like playing the lottery. If you're here too early, you're disappointed. If you're here too late, you're disappointed. People who came a little bit late to the Kancamagus
Right now, the
Highway,
perfect
I've
time.
been told, it wasn't as good this year. I find that every year we're always surprised at how good it is. We forget how beautiful it becomes until all of a sudden Columbus weekend rolls around and it's just stunning. This year, I think if you came a little bit early, you were a little bit disappointed. And then also if you came to drive the Kancamagus Highway in mid-October, you're going to be disappointed as well. But North Conway, which we're looking at here, is absolutely stunning right now. So still a little time left to get in your fall leaf peeping.
Ooh, you've convinced me already. Looking at these pictures, I mean, it doesn't matter what the colors are looking like. It looks like it's gorgeous no matter what.
And those were just yesterday, so there's still color out there.
Well, it's beautiful. So I will be taking a trip. I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be doing the same. Absolutely amazing. Thanks for chatting with us this morning. Again, that's Executive Director at Mount Washington Valley Chamber of Commerce, Chris Prue. Thanks again.
Well, I'll tell you right now, like the conditions here, it's actually a good time. Like we're not at peak yet, but our colors are changing. Tomorrow I could possibly go up there. I don't want to go up there today because it's Sunday and that's a lot of people. Like, because as you heard, they said there's a lot of travelers that come up to the Northeast just to see the foliage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Monday. I'm going to go Monday early afternoon and take some video and probably put it on the shorts and take some pictures and maybe put the background with MyMindoverYourMatter with the foliage so you guys can see. That would be pretty cool. I could do that tomorrow. It's just today's going to rain. It's cloudy. I feel like shit. I know there's going to be a lot of people up there right now. And they put a lot of speed bumps to go up that mountain. Before, there weren't that many. There were maybe 4 or 5 speed bumps before. Now there's over 20 speed bumps. It's fucking ridiculous. But, and it's very annoying too. But even to drive up there, to drive up to the top of the peak of the mountain is beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm looking forward to driving up there and showing you guys how it looks and how beautiful, Mother Nature is and how she's able to do all this magical, it's like art. It's beautiful, and the colors. Oh, I can't wait to go up there. I actually want to go. Also, I want to go apple picking. That's something that I really want to do. I want to go apple picking and grab some apples. That's fun. But my body's been feeling like shit because I have all this shit going on with my spine, with my neck and my back, but my neck has been giving me a lot of problems. So I've been seeing a lot of medical personnel for it, chiropractor and physical therapy, and it's took a toll out of me this first week of 4 days of all this therapy. And tomorrow I get to see the surgeon. So we'll see what they say and what's, I don't know. I'm just as confused. My body has me confused. My neck is just weird as hell. But yeah, let's see what else we have here. And let's continue. Got a couple of more stories, and then we'll see what add-ons and the backside, and then I'll wrap it up for the morning. And this will be the show for the day because I'm taking a break off tonight. I'm not gonna do. I'll just probably watch a couple of movies and just kick back and just chill with the cats. Yeah. I feel very lazy. My spine is just very tired. It just makes me very, very tired. And just not good, right? So let's go ahead and set this up. And let's watch.
This weekend, ex-Congressman George Santos living life as a free man after President Trump commuted his prison sentence. Santos was serving a 7-year sentence for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft in New Jersey.
Trump explaining, quote, George has been in solitary confinement for long stretches of time and by all accounts has been horribly mistreated. Therefore, I just signed a commutation releasing George Santos from prison immediately. Good luck, George. Have a great life.
George Santos joins us now to react. George, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. So let's just, first of all, congratulations on getting out.
He's a weird guy.
Thank you for having me. And thank you to President Trump for clemency and for having such an amazing will for second chances. I feel like it's justice served in a sense of I've made some poor choices in my life, but nothing would warrant a insane, arbitrary sentence. But on top of that, a sentence that no one else would have gotten, a treatment that no one else would have gotten, 41 days in isolation in the SHU. And to add insult to injury, I had 2 co-defendants, one who got probation, one who was me, who got 7 years, and the other one who's still in the same facility today, suffering the same thing. Sam Mealy is still sitting in there, which I still think it's a great injustice. All non-violent first-time offenders with no criminal background, and we're being thrown in this harsh environment with absolutely nothing. So when I spoke to President Trump yesterday, I told him my commitment would be to prison reform. I told him my commitment would be to fighting to help Sam Mealy and so many other people who are being absolutely drowned with this arbitrary sentencing style of judges who are trying to circumvent the First Step Act.
So you were convicted of identity theft and wire fraud, basically misusing the funds that donors have given to you for personal reasons. Why shouldn't you have served out your full term?
Look, Charlie, I understand people want to make this into he's getting away with it.
Right.
I'm not getting away with it. I was the first person to ever go to federal prison for this type of civil FEC violation. These are usually solved in penalties. And I don't want to focus on trying to rehash the past. I want to take this experience and do good and move on with the future. Repentance is an understatement. It's like I have been dealt a second chance. I have a lot to prove to a lot of people, and I have to make sure President Trump understands that I am not going to disappoint him.
So George, you've been given a second chance. You were also expelled from Congress.
Yes, sir.
So what do you plan to do with this second chance? And is there any plans that you might try and return to Congress?
Not run for Congress, that's for sure. That's definitely not something I want to do at the immediate moment. I think.
But you're not ruling it out.
I'm not ruling it out. No, look, I'm 37 years old, so I have time. I'm not saying that I want to go to Congress. I don't necessarily think that that's the best avenue. Look, they can't get the government open. so it's not like it's a good functioning institution.
So what do you do with the second
Let me ask you this. You talk about you were in solitary confinement. You had a lot of time to think about your life. What has happened to you spiritually? I know I talked to you earlier. You said you went to mass, you went to confession. Talk to me about that.
The moment I got into prison, I discovered there's this visiting priest a Catholic priest who comes in every Thursday. Started going to mass. Then I was abruptly pulled into the SHU. In the SHU, I was denied a Bible. I was denied a rosary after putting in requests. The institution's horrible. The warden, Kelly, she's a horrible human being, runs a horrible institution that she denies you religious services, medicine. It's insane. I connected with God. I reconnected myself. I started praying in such a profound way. The day after I left the SHU, I went straight to Mass. It was a Thursday. And it was, first of all, the gospel was by Luke, the same exact gospel that I used to pray with my mom when we were fighting cancer. Knock and the door will open, ask and you shall receive. So it's this beautiful gospel. I get super emotional. The priest goes and says, would you like to do confession? I said, yes, I have to do confession. We do confession for a lengthy period. I take communion after years of being completely absent from God in my life. We pray the rosary. He does intentions of the Mass for me. I just feel good. I wake up Friday feeling good. Just absolutely at peace with myself, with God, with Jesus, because at the end of the day, Jesus is King. He's your Lord and Savior.
You're saying this is the day before you got the convocation?
Yes, absolutely. 100% the day before. I have plenty of witnesses who were at that Mass with me. And if I needed a sign to believe and to dedicate, I'm leaving this studio here and going to Mass at St. Patrick's in the next 30 minutes. So that's literally true.
So we need to go, but you still have restitution that you have to pay.
I do not.
How does that work?
So I do not have any pendencies with the law anymore. I have no restitution. I have no probation. And if you just going back and being very candid, most of the restitution was really insane to make payments back to the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee, because the DOJ under Merrick Garland said that I only raised those monies and got that help from the NRCC under false pretenses, but I won the race. So I don't know about that.
Well, you run the race. You were also a very staunch voter, always with President Donald Trump. And now you owe your freedom to President Donald Trump. And I know you're really grateful for the mercy that he showed
Absolutely.
you.
We look forward to seeing what you do with your second chance.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And now you said you could get Botox now that you're out.
I can.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
You can't do in prison.
Talking about Botox. You crazy. You people are just crazy. Let's check this out here. More weather. See what the storm is going to project to do.
Tropics update, 60% potential for tropical development out of this one. And we do have another invest, 98L. Right now, 35-mile-per-hour winds moving to the west quickly at 26 miles an hour. And forecast models show the potential for some development once it gets to the central or maybe even the western Caribbean as we go throughout again. This would be the next 7 to 10 days. So model comparison, you can see the GFS is in the yellow, and so there is Thursday. Then starting to see a little something developing there, while the European model has a little bit later. But notice what the GFS did. It had it developing and then moving its way towards the northeast. European model has it developing a little further to the west and then starting to drift its way up to the north. Extended models will see if it takes it up towards the Bahamas. It could be relatively close to very, very southern Florida, maybe the Keys and into Cuba. But you see, this is going to help us out. And again, this is a forecast of the wind shear. And this goes all the way into the following Wednesday, October 29th. And this would act like a wall, keeping anything away from us. And that is why the GFS model has it pushing its way this way. And if the European model, which is a little later to develop, has it drifting to the north, it would do the same thing, get picked up by this and push its way off towards the northeast. That does warn. Close watching, though.
Okay. Well, let's keep it moving.
Director Todd Lyons, Director Seralta, this is a huge room of people. This is the Memphis Safe Task Force. So Director, since this is your space, why don't you give me an overview of what we see in here and why it's so important?
So I have the honor of leading these men and women from the various law enforcement agencies as the director of the United States Marshal Service. So we are over 800 arrests. We've seized 170 some odd firearms, recovered 40 something children that are runaways. I mean, there's a lot of great work being done here. We've done several warrants. We're over $100,000 in cash seized, and very proud to be the coordinator of this task force.
Well, it's amazing. And Director Lyons, maybe you can give us an idea as to why this was necessary to do. We know that President Trump has talked about making Memphis safe again, much like D.C. Why was this so important?
Well, it was so important, too, just because this is what the American people voted for, right? You know, to the director's point, the arrests that we're making, the guns that we're taking off the street, this is what the people of Memphis wanted. And it's great because the Department of Justice has been doing an amazing job with all their resources that they put out here. The Marshal Service between here and D.C. are actually making significant impacts in the community. And it's really important that this whole of government approach with everybody that's here is really making a difference to make Memphis safe.
How important is it to have these 30 agencies all working together? I mean, that's a huge, manpower move, and that's the morale here, I think, must be very good.
What's most important here is that the Memphis Police Department, one of our partner agencies here, the local agency, is going to have the network necessary to go beyond this surge, beyond the task force, and we're making not just state and local arrests, but we're also making federal arrests. And our AG, Pam Bondi, is a hard charger when it comes to federal investigations, and we look forward to putting some real bad guys in jail.
And we got a front row seat to all the planning that goes into making these arrests.
All right, guys, we'll just get right to it. First, thanks for coming. I've been in the Marshal Service 15 years, and what's going on here in Memphis, we've had so much support the last couple of weeks with state, local, federal. It's really kind of a unique thing. I've never really witnessed anything like this, and it's pretty awesome. We're just going to be prepped for everything so we can evolve like SOG always does, right? We'll brief all of that so no one is in any danger, and we know where everyone is at all times, okay? So that's just to kick it off. My TL Eric's going to go ahead and go through it, and we'll get through the actual mission profile.
So our mission, again, today, 10/14/2025, SOG will execute an arrest warrant for our primary target. Just to rehash his criminal history, a lot of violent felonies, firearm issues, narcotics and drugs issues also. Just a couple of north and south views of the street, the primary residence and kind of surrounding area. That'll be critical for our operational plan in terms of where we stage and park our Bearcat and tactical vehicles, ambulance, medevac. So we'll have the TK9, his handler, and a cover officer. The Bearcat, which will be our primary assault vehicle, and that command vehicle, it'll be Deputy Commander Minton, probably trailing behind us, given a command and control element.
So the primary breach point is going to be the front door on the one side, which we call the address side of the structure. Primary breach plan is going to be with our Draco gas delivery system. So if you kind of focus your attention to the front of the Bearcat, is that device on the front of that 12-foot boom.
Freaking
That
awesome.
allows us to basically position ourselves, breach the door with that, port windows or poke holes in the structure, all while in the cover of the Bearcat. Some kind of emergency happens, like a barricade, a hostage situation. I do have explosives on my person, and I have charges to defeat any type of door that I need to in those emergency situations. However, explosives will not be the primary means on this breach plan, given the occupants and the other factors.
If you have a question that pops up in your head, grab me, grab Eric. Let's go.
All right, well, Director Lyons, I know this morning we saw an arrest happen. Maybe you could kind of give us a background on the suspect and sort of how that all went down.
Today, the Homeland Security Investigations Special Response Team went out and they arrested a known sex offender, was wanted for state charges for raping a child.
Target
Wow.
is Luis Lopez, Honduras national, legally here in the United States, has a warrant for arrest warrant, outstanding arrest warrant for rape of a child.
Police, come to the door! We have a warrant for your arrest. Come outside.
I mean, that's part of the whole make Memphis safe again, right? Is this whole government approach under, like I said, under the leadership of DOJ, that we're going out there and actually making significant impacts. And we're able to bring all of our tools to bear. whether it's Homeland Security Investigations, the Marshals, or Tennessee State Police Department. We're all here to make sure that we're taking these bad people off the street.
Director, we're heading out. We're going to go see, hopefully, another bad guy taken off the street. Give me maybe the background to this guy, what his charges are, the suspect that we're going after today.
So the suspect today has drug-related warrants. However, his criminal past is violent. He's got probably 6 to 8 violent prior arrests for assault, and today we're gonna grab him on that warrant.
We're gonna grab
he has
him.
outstanding.
And we heard the team, the tactical team here, kind of giving a brief, going over exactly what they're going to anticipate. But what is the mindset of these agents as they're about to go out? I mean, this is like game time. Where do their heads go, and what are the main priorities that they're thinking about maybe today?
So the tactical officer is constantly looking at how and what could possibly go wrong, and then prepare themselves mentally, physically, and tactically for mitigating those circumstances. So as you heard in the briefing, they're not only concentrated on grabbing the violent individual that we're going to take into custody later. That they also want to know who's in there that may also be being victimized, or in this case, that are family members that may pose a threat post-arrest, or make sure that we don't hurt them on the way in.
And these guys, they're almost like a trained professional sports team. They're all got the right mindset. They're at the top of their game. The U.S. Marshals Special Operations Groups, Tier 1 SWAT team, they're focused. They're focused on the mission. They're focused on each other. These guys have been training long periods of time, make sure they get their head right, and they're in the game. And they're excited to be out here and actually be doing law enforcement work.
Well, these guys are loading up here, so we got to go.
That's right.
So let's head out.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe
All right,
to Fox
let's,
News YouTube page and catch our...
Let's keep it moving. Let's see what else we got.
I just want to give you an update on the case regarding 23-year-old Kata Scott, who went missing on October 4th. A little bit of a somber and
Philly girl.
grateful moment here right now. Based on tips that have come in over the past few days, as we called on earlier this week, asking for the public to provide any information, any tips, and the public has been fantastic in providing tips and information, and we greatly appreciate that. But based on a tip that came in last night through the night, investigators began the process of following up on that tip this morning, starting around 10 o'clock this morning, following up on that tip. And the tip was very specific that led us back to this location here today, which you all know we were out here earlier in the week doing a little bit of a search. And so based on the investigative information, based on the investigation and what they were following up on that tip today, led us back to this area behind the school, where it's a wooded area. I don't know if any of you have been back there, but it's a wooded area that goes beyond the school. And so we begin to go back into that area where we will locate a shallow grave after being able to remove some of the debris back there, able to locate the body of a human being. All indications at this point is that it's a female. We're not
they
going
found
to
her.
confirm at this point that it is Miss Kata Scott, because that has to be done by the medical examiner's office. But we have been in communication with her family as to this process and the fact
They
that
know
we have
it's her.
recovered a human being. And so at this point, it's still a lot of work to be done. I'll be very candid that we can't answer but so many questions. We're not going to get into the investigation at this point because we want to make sure that all of the pieces to this are done correctly and that we don't put out information ahead of time. Because we want the people and the person that we have in custody and anybody else that may be involved in this, we want them held accountable to the highest degree of the law for what they have done. And so I just want that to be clear as to why we will not get into specific details. And so that's where we're at this point. Still a lot of work, but I must say a lot of work has been done around this case. As you know, we've been searching, have done multiple searches. We shut down the police academy. That was a decision made by myself and Commissioner Bethel to shut down the police academy over a week ago, where we brought out the entire group of recruits to comb through this area. Again, so I know, listen, no one is happy that this is the ending, and completely understand that this is a lot on our investigators, a lot on all of us, because again, we all have family
Yeah, I
members.
think that's her, man.
And this could have been any one of our family
I knew
members.
she
It
died.
could be anybody's
I knew
family
that guy
member,
killed
and that's
her.
understood, and that's the reason that you see the tireless work that's been done by starting with Northwest Detectives, and then by homicide, by our partners through the FBI, through our forensics office, through any and everybody that has been a part of this process, because we wanted to bring some level of closure to this family. And so, again, we're going to wait until we have official confirmation on, as the medical examiner is going to do their process, and then we will bring that confirmation. But that's where we are right now. Again, I can't reiterate enough how much we appreciate, tips and information that have come in from the public. I still will urge the public that if you have any information, anything that you think is related to this, continue to give us that information via 215-686-TIPS. Still continue to give us that information, because again, we don't know if there are other individuals that have been a victim of this individual that we have in custody. And so
Wow.
I just want that to be clear, that please continue to provide that information if you have anything. But that's where we are.
Might be an
I will also
offender.
ask you to continue to pray
Like a repeat.
for Ms. Scott's family.
What's the process of getting that official confirmation on whether it's her?
Well, at this point now, we're on the medical examiner's timeline, and so they will, the body will be recovered and transported to the medical examiner's office, and then we'll go through there.
No, that's on that side. That's not me. I don't know if it's me, but it looks like it's freezing on that side. Let me see what's going on here. Is it on my side? No, that's on their side. It seems like it freezes for a while. Let's move it up. Yeah, it stays frozen for a while. Yeah, that's on their side. That's their video.
Of any
Yeah,
location.
you see how it looked, how it did that?
Understand
Yeah,
that
that's their video breaking
it's
up.
not an easy process, and when you
Their camera is the video. It got corrupted. Wow. Whose channel was this? Y'all need better equipment. Y'all need better equipment. What's going on? You're the media. You got money. Y'all can afford like better cameras.
again,
What's going on
a lot
here?
of wooded area, and so we're grateful today that we're here. Make no mistake about it. If we had located the body yesterday, this in terms of this discovery would not. This person has been deceased for a few days, and so for some time. I'm not going to say how many days, but this didn't just happen yesterday, and so yeah, we did a lot of work, and again, I'm proud of the men and women in this organization that have been doing the work to try to locate Ms. Scott, and again, in our minds, we know this was a possible reality, and here we are, unfortunately.
Does the timeline match up?
There's a timeline of what?
In terms of when she went missing and how long it looks like that
As I said,
around?
I am not going to get into any of the investigative process because I don't want to mess up this case. And I don't want anyone picking apart what we say and trying to create a defense. I want to make sure that we do our jobs in the most diligent way. We give the district attorney's office an opportunity to do their job in the most diligent way, and that we get a prosecution on this incident here. And so I'm not going to get into any parts of the investigation, not out of disrespect, but just simply because I want to make sure that the person we have in custody and anybody else that was involved in this, that they are held accountable the way that they should be. And so that's why I'm not getting into the specifics of the case.
the specific tip that came in, could you get into more detail about what was specific about it? Is it in location and was it from a community member?
I won't get into the specifics. It was an anonymous tip that came in through our tip line, as we have been asking for. But it was very specific as to detailing us and directing us to a specific location in the wooded area, going back to your question, a very specific location that narrowed it down. Don't know who the tip is from, but grateful that the individual submitted the tip that brought us back here to this location this morning.
Just last
Wow.
question. Forget the cursing and the yelling at you guys. It just shows that there's passion behind this. What do you want to say about the passion of the community? They were out, last night searching.
By the passion that some of the remarks that have been made as we were walking back, I'm not offended at all, because that's people's emotion, and this is an emotional situation, and so it's to be understood. However, I know what we have done, and the amount of hours that have been put into this process of trying to locate Ms. Scott. I know the work that has been done to bring the individual in the custody that we have in custody, and I know the work that these investigators will continue to do to ensure that we wrap this case up and that we do everything to hold the people accountable in the proper way. And so I'm not, listen, we can't be upset at that. I mean, that's emotion. If that was my family member or if I was someone I knew, I would have the same level of emotion. And listen, to be quite frank about it, the reason I go through the steps of what we have done is because not every community member, they don't know that we shut down the police academy to bring 300 recruits to go searching through an area. They don't know that. They don't know that team dogs coming to help us in the search process. Know that. And so it's my job to make sure that I express
Now
that,
they do.
so they know that this police department, we took the case serious, we took every case serious, but the work that's been done to again, bring this to some conclusion. Is this the conclusion that we wanted? Absolutely not. But at this point now, we have to do everything in our power to ensure that we bring justice for this family and some level of closure. And so to answer that, no, it's understandable. Listen, that passion you need, because that's also the passion that helps you drive in the tips. That's the passion that gets you to have the support from the community and getting the information that we got. And so it's understandable.
Could we hear from the ADA as well?
Absolutely.
Once and if it is confirmed that this is Cato, what does this mean for King?
It means that we do our job. It means that we take everything that we know, we take everything that we found out today, the police do what they do, and then everything will come to us and make the determination of whether we add additional charges.
And what would those additional charges be?
Once we hear from the ME, I'll have a better answer on that. Obviously, we're like you said, we're going in order. Right now, we're on to the ME. They're going to do their investigation. As soon as we hear from them, it'll guide us in what we do.
Okay. Well, I know it's her, and that sucks, because innocent, beautiful life gone way too soon, and it's very sad, very, very, very sad. All right, let me see what else I got here for us. I wanted to take a look at the storm real quick. Let's take a look at this. You know what? We'll do that at the end, because I'm going to be wrapping up the show soon. So we'll check the weather at the end, and then you guys can enjoy your Sunday. All right, here we go.
In New York City, the three mayoral candidates will face off on the debate stage, and all eyes will be on Zohran Mamdani, as they were yesterday, when he joined Martha McCallum here on Fox.
When I've spoken to Trump voters right here in New York City, Hillside Avenue in Queens, Fordham Road in the Bronx, they've told me it was cost of living that drove them to vote for Donald Trump. They've told me it was a promise of a lower actual, whether it be cheaper groceries, whether it be childcare, whether it be rent.
Right.
And what we're seeing time and time again is we're more focused on the question of billionaires and the most profitable corporations than we are on people who can't even eat in this city.
Here's the truth. He's good. Zohran Mamdani has real political talent. He has a ready and easy smile. And he speaks to a message, affordability that will connect with voters. Bernie Sanders says, therefore, this guy should be the blueprint for Democrats.
What is not to like? This should be the kind of candidate that Democrats want in every state in the country.
And we can admit, who doesn't want cheaper groceries, free childcare, lower rent? It's a lot like the kid running for student council and promising a Coke machine in the Commons. Or how about no homework? How can you not be on board with that kind of message? There's a very real problem in America with stagnant wages and inflation. There is a very real problem in America where the middle and lower class have been left behind in an economy that no longer supports blue-collar workers. But Zohran Mamdani doesn't present solutions. He presents candy. He presents things that feel good. He presents that Coke machine in the Commons. And when he has actual suggestions on how to solve these very real problems, well, it causes greater problems. Let's walk through a couple of them together. How about the very real problem of sky-high rent? What's his solution? It's a socialist, communist vision of freezing rent.
Freezing your rent as the next mayor of New York City. Let's plunge into the details.
But here's the reality. Owners lose money on stabilized units, so you end up with this. Thousands of rent-stabilized New York City apartments face foreclosure in a tenant bloodbath. You can't simply hit the emergency brake on capitalism. You can't freeze prices. But that's exactly what he wants to do as well when it comes to transportation. He wants, as you've heard by now, free buses.
The Staten Island Ferry is a beacon on the waters of New York City. Filling about 40. The best part? It's free. So when people say buses can never be free, don't ask them to take a hike. Ask them to take the ferry.
Here's reality. The Staten Island Ferry isn't the model. The model's been played out across the nation. The Washington Post wrote plenty of cities have eliminated bus fares, but it always comes at a cost. Olympia, Washington did so in 2020 to avoid having to upgrade their fare charge. Readers, their fare card readers, but it hiked the local sales tax to cover up the cost. That means everyone pays and pays more whether or not they ride. The Washington Post adds, other free systems have drawn criticism for becoming magnets of crime and vandalism, such as Portland, Oregon, where fare-free transit was discontinued in 2012. It's an experiment, tried and failed. How about food prices? Oh, Madami's got that covered as well.
Grocery prices are out of control. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores.
Reality check. We also know this doesn't work. We've seen the experiment play out across America. How about this? Quote, a troubled Kansas City grocery store has closed despite nearly $18 million in city investments. Maybe these solutions just aren't macro enough. So
it's
we've had
time
grocery
that
stores in
we're
Kansas.
proud of us being the financial capital, the cultural capital, but also we should make it a capital of where working people can afford to live in this city. Because right now what we're seeing is that 1 in 4 New Yorkers are being priced out of the wealthiest city and the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
So these solutions, which we've seen tried and fail, they need to be superimposed macro on the economy all over America. And that really is his point in the end. The problem, he suggests, is capitalism. Mamdani has said so. He said it in 2020. Quote, when Cuomo says low taxes foster a business-friendly environment, he means environment where it's easy for bosses to steal from workers. Taxation isn't theft. Capitalism is. So don't let the sweet talk, the Coke machine, the Commons fool you. The very real problems of American middle class exist, but the solution, it won't be the candy. It won't be the promises that you've seen from Mexico to Western Europe. It won't be socialism. It won't be Zohran Mamdani. You've also got, hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Let's check this story out.
Breaking news out of Paris and a robbery at the famed Louvre Museum, home of some of the world's most famous works of art.
What?
ABC's Danielle Hamamdjian has the latest details.
Oh, the hell he broke into that?
Good morning, Willie. Well, we've seen this play out in movies before, but this is the real deal. According to France's culture minister, the robbery occurred this morning as the museum was opening at around 9:30. And here's what French media is reporting, that 3 masked men carrying small chainsaws broke into the Louvre. The interior minister saying the thieves broke in using a ladder mounted on the back of a truck and broke in through a window, which led them to the Apollo Gallery. This is where the remains of France's crown jewels are kept. The theft, he said, lasted 7 minutes. French media also reporting they made off with 9 pieces of jewelry once belonging to Napoleon and Josephine Bonaparte. The men, they say, escaped on a moped. A statement from the Louvre says it will remain closed for the day due to exceptional reasons. There are no injuries being reported, that we know. The Louvre is the world's largest art museum and the most visited. It's home to iconic pieces like Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. An investigation is now underway, but listen, Willie, priceless items stolen in broad daylight. We'll be following this one very closely.
Wow, in and out in 7 minutes, and you can only imagine the value of Napoleon's jewels. Danielle Hamamdjian on this story, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget.
Well, I just say, listen,
every morning
you put pictures out of what the jewelry looks like, and you just don't buy from those individuals. You know, don't buy the jewelry from those individuals, because then you're going to be implemented in within the case. Because, hello, you know, there were stolen jewelry. I wonder who did it. Immigrants? Makes you wonder. Because I tell you right now, that area, that by the Louvre, there's a lot of immigrants around there. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's finish off the show with some weather. Let me show you guys what this. Give me 1 sec. I gotta set it all up. Let's see here. And we're going to be looking at is 98L. Okay. Okay, this is what 98L is looking like. It's going to the lower Leeward Islands. And it's this system right here that's supposed to enter the boneyard of systems. Usually when systems come in to this part of the Caribbean, it's kind of like like I said, the boneyard of the Caribbean. So this right here system supposed to turn into something, and some models are projecting it to become a hurricane, like with rapid intensification. So like all eyes needs to be on this as soon as it hits, may possibly like before Central Caribbean. I think the system will get a chance to get its act together. Also, you got to keep an eye of this energy coming downwards, because it's heading like towards this area, and this area is it's some reason this is, I feel like a couple of more storms are going to develop from this area. So the hurricane season definitely isn't over yet. Let's check out the infrared. Give me 1 second and I'll pop it right up. Check out the infrared. Give it 1 second to load. It's going to do its loading thing. And there you go. This is what it looks like. You know, it's trying to get its act together, but like I said, it's going to an area in here where it's really like it's iffy. A lot of storms get disrupted by the energy. Some no, some because it's the winds that are coming off, like from like Venezuela, moving upwards, and it tends to shear a lot of these storms. But if the shear is low and the area looks favorable, which they're projecting it is going to be favorable because they're giving it like a 60% chance of development, it's gonna turn to something. It definitely is, and it's something that people, eventually gonna have to look into. High alert for Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Definitely them, and maybe Jamaica. Who knows if this system is gonna stall out? It's gonna come out and come to like the central, like Caribbean, and then stall, and then move northeast, and where northeast is going to go, if it's going to go northeast or it's going to go like east northeast. So something to watch. And then this back here too, it looks like nothing, but it's coming to an area down here that it can develop into something. This is, I think, a remnant of a previous storm that was up here, but it did the loop-de-loop and it's coming downward. So something just to keep an eye on. All right, so let's go ahead and watch the last video of the day of the morning show, and of the show for today, because I'm not doing a show this evening unless there's special report or breaking news or something like that I have to like come in and report about it. Then I will come back. But other than that, I want everyone to enjoy their Saturday. Just enjoy your Saturday, be at peace, and just do whatever you want today. And it says Saturday, it's Sunday. I'm stuck on Saturday, but Sunday, yeah, just relax. Watch some football if you're into that. Watch some movies, which I'm probably end up gonna do. I'm still really sore and tired and very fatigued, so I might take a nap because I'm just very tired. I don't know. It's I know it's the manipulating the spine, and it's taking up a lot of my energy from within, and it's making me very tired, and it sucks. The train of truth is here. The train of truth just passed by. Let's see. Okay, what do we have? All right, the last video of the day is about the system. So here we go. Just check it out. Hurricane info. Subscribe to that channel. That channel is really good.
A cordial greeting. Today is Sunday, October 19th, 2025. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. At the time of recording this video, it's 8:30 in the morning, local time in the Caribbean, where we continue to closely monitor the evolution of Invest 98. This strong tropical wave is currently near the island of Barbados, and will continue moving rapidly westward throughout the day, bringing heavy downpours and wind gusts across the central and southern Lesser Antilles. On visible satellite imagery, we can clearly see that the tropical wave has gradually gained cyclonic organization, and the low-pressure center currently appears to be located to the southeast of Barbados. In fact, if we look at the Barbados Doppler radar animation, we can see that some rain bands are affecting the Lesser Antilles and, in particular, that rotation associated with the low pressure south and southeast of Barbados. During the next 36 hours, heavy rainfall will continue from the island of Guadeloupe down to Trinidad and Tobago. The American model projects between 75 to 100 millimeters of rainfall during that period. In addition, the tropical wave is producing strong gusty winds with speeds between 30 and 35 miles
catch
per
that
hour,
water.
affecting portions of the central and northern Lesser Antilles.
That's free
as well as
water.
coastal regions of Puerto Rico between Sunday and Monday. Now, let's talk about the complex scenario we have with Invest 98. At 8 a.m., the National Hurricane Center increased development probabilities to 60% over the next 7 days. The potential development area now extends across nearly the entire Caribbean Sea, from waters south of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, to Jamaica and the eastern parts of Honduras and Nicaragua. This means that a tropical depression could form anywhere within this broad zone, which makes forecasting extremely challenging. If the system develops farther east, it could eventually track toward the Dominican Republic. On the other hand, if it forms south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, it might move a bit more westward. Some models even keep it weak until it reaches south of Jamaica, where cyclonic development finally occurs. In that case, it could move farther west, potentially threatening Nicaragua and Honduras, or northward, threatening Jamaica and Cuba. This uncertainty is evident in the ensemble members of the American model, which show that virtually any part of the Caribbean Sea could experience the formation of this tropical cyclone. Some members show a track over the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, or eastern Cuba, while others push it westward toward the western Caribbean. This wide range of possibilities stems from the fact that we still don't know exactly where the tropical depression will form. The European ensemble also shows great uncertainty, though most members cluster around Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, and Central America. Meanwhile, Google's AI model rapidly develops a tropical depression, with most members tracking north-northeastward across Haiti or the Dominican Republic, while others move westward toward Jamaica, eastern Cuba, or Central America. At least for now, most track specialized models favor a westward movement during the next 4 to 5 days, bringing the system near southern Haiti and Jamaica. And although these projections show it passing well south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, even under this scenario, there's a high risk of flooding across all the Greater Antilles. That's because as the system moves through the Caribbean Sea, southerly winds will transport deep tropical moisture over Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. In the longer term, the system is expected to move slowly across the central Caribbean, increasing flood risk for Jamaica, Haiti, eastern Cuba, and parts of eastern Honduras and Nicaragua. Ocean surface temperatures remain very warm throughout the
They
region.
need the rain.
And intensity models indicate that a tropical storm could develop within 48 to 72 hours,
it sucks that it's
with
going to
some
be a
showing
storm.
possible strengthening into a
They
hurricane in
need the
about 5
rain.
to 7 days. Now let's look at the different scenarios shown by the global models. Starting with the American model, it currently shows the farthest east track compared to the others, suggesting that Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic could experience significant effects from this future cyclone. For example, in its early morning run, it projects a tropical depression developing south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic by Wednesday afternoon, strengthening rapidly and being drawn northeastward by an Atlantic trough. By next weekend, it shows a Category 2 or 3 hurricane approaching eastern Dominican Republic, with deep moisture from the south affecting Puerto Rico. Recent runs even show the system stalling over the Dominican Republic or Haiti for 3 to 4 days.
Oh my God, that would be
resulting in an extreme
horrible.
rainfall event. According to the latest
Oh my God,
projection,
that would kill so many
rainfall totals
people.
for eastern Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico
If
could
it
reach
stalls
between 40
over
and 45
Dominican
inches,
Republic,
over 1,000 millimeters, during the next 7 days, especially late in the week. While such extreme totals are unlikely to occur exactly as shown, they illustrate the very high flood risk for the region.
Puerto Rico
At
is
the
going to get a
moment,
lot of
the
rain.
American model remains the farthest east, while other models keep the system over the central Caribbean. For instance, the European model delays development until around 7 to 8 days from now, forming a tropical storm east-northeast of Nicaragua and Honduras and later strengthening it into a hurricane that would threaten Jamaica, eastern
Ooh,
Cuba, and the southern Bahamas.
that's
Under
a
this
strong
westward
hurricane
scenario,
if that happens.
rainfall totals would be highest across southern Dominican Republic,
It would
Haiti,
destroy
and
Jamaica.
ranging between
Maybe a
100
Cat
and
4?
150 millimeters over the next 7 days.
That area
Because the
could
system
develop
also
really
approaches
fast.
parts of Central America, the model projects rainfall totals of 100 to 150 millimeters in eastern Nicaragua and northern Honduras. The German model shows a similar westward track and develops a tropical storm in about 5 days southeast of Jamaica, producing heavy rainfall in the Dominican Republic and Haiti between 150 and 300 millimeters, and between 2 to 4 inches, 50 to 100 millimeters, in Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, the European AI model tracks the system south of Haiti, then moves it north-northeastward across the Dominican Republic and Haiti next weekend, producing heavy rainfall across the area. It projects between 200 and 300 millimeters for the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and 2 to 5 inches, 50 to 125 millimeters, for Puerto Rico. Finally, the UK model develops a tropical storm just east of Nicaragua in about 5 days. In summary, during the next 48 hours, expect heavy downpours across the central and southern Lesser Antilles, along with wind gusts between 30 and 35 miles
But it
per
has
hour.
chance to
In the
develop.
medium term, the system appears likely to continue westward and may not develop into a tropical depression until it reaches south of Haiti. Among the different scenarios, the favored one currently involves a turn toward the north-northeast, potentially threatening the Dominican Republic, Haiti, eastern Cuba, or Jamaica. However, less likely but still possible scenarios include a more eastward track bringing greater impacts to Puerto Rico, or a westward one threatening Nicaragua and Honduras. There's still much
and
to
then
monitor in the coming
slam
days,
into
and the
Jamaica.
main concern remains the high flood risk for the greater Antilles and
The
parts of Central
system doesn't
America.
look bad
Here
to
at
shape.
Hurricane Info, I'll continue monitoring the evolution of Invest 98 closely to keep you informed.
It's
Before
gonna be
leaving, I'd like to ask you to share this video with your friends and family so they
not
stay informed.
good
Also,
for
don't forget to like.
not good for the the Caribbean needs it because that area of the water is very, very hot. We're talking about like 87 degrees. I mean, I don't know what it is in Celsius, but it's very fucking hot. And I seen storms in the Caribbean before. It took less than a day for a storm to get a name and become a Category 5 hurricane. I seen storms like before in that area this time of the year that go from nothing to Cat 5 hurricanes. So I do not underestimate that Caribbean. Those waters are very hot. Um, I don't wish on a Category 4 or 5, but it can happen, and it does not take long for it to happen. It can happen like within a day. The system can blow up and be a Cat 5 hurricane. I've seen it so many times in the Caribbean in my lifetime, from all the weather that I follow every year on the hurricane season. I've seen storms in the Caribbean that just blow up in development and become very serious Cat 4, Cat 5 hurricanes, and very, very, very strong storms, which is scary. You know, it is a scary thing. We hope not for it to not happen, but the chances are very high for it to happen. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up the show because I want to enjoy the rest of the day. So you guys do the same. Have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night wherever you're at. And I'll catch you on the flip side. And I'll be back here tomorrow because I'm probably not going to do anything this evening. Unless, like I said, breaking news has to be something like really big to break for me to come back on tonight. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.